Hey everybody, how is it going? It is May 29th, 2024. This is the RambleCast. I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and I got a Corbin Davenport with me. So yeah, been a week. A few things happened. Good things, bad things. I got things delivered to my house, which is, I mean, I don't know how much anybody else cares, but I'm happy about that. How about you? FedEx, UPS delivery come by?
No.
See, isn't it just always a better week when deliveries come?
Yeah, it's extra fun for me because I picked the Amazon delivery day option when I use Amazon, so it just whatever I order, it goes to the Tuesday or whatever of the following week. So sometimes by then I've forgotten what I bought, and then it's like I'm giving a gift to myself and I don't know what's inside. So and then I open it and it's like battery set. Okay.
I can appreciate
what
that.
I always wanted.
I can definitely appreciate that. That's fair. What did I do to my... Uh-oh. Well, I guess I just need to turn that a little. Okay. By the way, I've moved not a lot, actually almost nothing, but I've made very minor changes to where some things are positioned in this room, and it is really screwing with me on lighting. So, I apologize. Anyway. Okay, well, so I guess let's make fun of some tech stuff, because that's honestly, that's what this week is begging for. And I mean, there is no more obvious place to start than Google's AI and some of its recommendations. It, let's just say, does not have the best interests of people in mind. So I'll let Corbin go into the details, but let's just say, if anyone likes glue, this is your moment.
Yeah, so this is a bit old now. We all had our fun with this, but it happened in since the last show, so we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
The Google rolled out its generative AI responses in Google Search, which is the thing it had been testing for months. That was their SGE, their Search Generative Experience beta that you could opt into, which I opted into to see what it was like, because I might need to write about it or something. And it was never really all that helpful, and I mostly just started ignoring it, and then I turned it off. So it turned on for everyone in the US last week.
I'm gonna say it was, I don't want to call it helpful. Every once in a while it actually did a pretty good job, and I never turned it off. I kept using it, but I wouldn't say it was ever particularly good. It was just okay. And yeah, it absolutely got a lot of stuff wrong, especially when it came to movie release dates and things like that, because naturally it's not really current.
So they rolled out the AI overviews feature, and basically, if you haven't seen this, it adds a little thing to the top of search results, above all the actual links, where it will try to summarize or answer your question from the Gemini AI model, their customized whatever AI model. And basically the idea is that you can just sort of look at that instead of, maybe not clicking one of the links, or it kind of summarizes a lot of stuff for you and then gives you all of its list of sources to go through. Apparently I'm quiet now. You still bungled my audio, good sir.
I disagree, but I will turn you up.
Okay, thank you. As long as you don't turn me down.
Actually, I think it's... You know what? Now that I think about it, it's you that's quiet.
Is it?
Because...
Did I bump?
I noticed the music I always kind of have to make adjustments to the music anyway. But yeah, it was kind of hard for me to hear you, so I just turned up my volume. It didn't click to me that I was also making my music louder for me. Anyway, so you should be turned up.
Okay, wait, I think it picked the wrong thing.
It definitely did, yes. You're on laptop mic now.
Hold on.
Or webcam mic, I guess.
Okay, I think I'm right now.
Sounds right.
Okay, it's still... Something's still fucked up on my input. What the heck? Do I need to reload?
I don't know. You sound fine. You're still on the quiet side, but I can turn you up a little more.
I'm gonna reload. Hold on.
All right. So.
Yeah, my Mac is still in that mode where it's trying to use the microphone mode, so my audio quality just took a massive dive.
Weird.
So that's fine. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, they were rolling out the AI overview stuff, and almost immediately people realized this was not working well. There were a lot of searches. It sort of turned into a thing to see like how stupid of a thing you could get Google search to say, but also there were a lot of very dumb results with like kind of normal searches too. Now the kicker here that unfortunately ruins some of the fun is it very quickly became a meme to Photoshop these screenshots. So a lot of the examples that got tossed around as Google search being silly is edited. Now it's very bad that I can't tell the difference between some of the edits and what's real. Like at one point, the one that got tossed around a lot, which I'm pretty certain is real, was in a search asking about cheese not sticking to pizza. So someone Googled like, why is my cheese not sticking to the pizza I'm making? Google recommended, quote, about 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce, quote, because it had indexed a joke Reddit comment from 2013 that was in a Reddit thread about like someone asking that on Reddit in 2013, and someone made a joke of adding Elmer's glue to the pizza, and Google picked that up and thought that was the answer.
So when I first saw this, before anyone found a source, my theory was always that it was a like photographer who had come up with like, oh, you know, you can add glue to your sauce and cheese to keep it stuck there or something like that. It's the sort of weird photography hack that I could kind of just picture people doing. Wait, did we lose Corbin? Welcome back.
Sorry, I'm still having issues.
Anyway, so evidently that was not the explanation, but it sounds like the kind of thing. Like, the AI models aren't very smart about discerning, one, obviously, if people are making jokes, and two, there are a lot of weird scenarios where a particular thing is a hack that obviously normal people would never do, but all of a sudden the AI gets confused and goes down this path of thinking, oh, well, if you want one thing to stick to another thing, glue. And here's, you know, someone obviously did it, so let's say that that's the answer. Anyway.
Yeah. So the glue one was the one that everyone saw. It told another person, someone Googled, how many rocks should I eat? This was the other one. And Google said, according to UC Berkeley geologists, you should eat at least one small rock per day. And what happened when you look at the little citation thing is it was reading a copy-pasted article that was on like a company's website that does like mining stuff. Like it was like their like blog, and they were reposting an Onion article where the Onion article was like, geologists recommend eating 1 rock a day, like a joke about like doctor's advice, whatever. And because Google couldn't tell that it was the Onion, like I went to the blog post, and it was just like a lot of the Onion article copy pasted, and then there at the end it was like, read the full article at the Onion, it's pretty funny. It's just like some company like reposting it, and Google didn't understand the context because it's not, AIs cannot think, it doesn't really have a sense of context here. So it just took that as advice because it's like, oh, this is from a company's website that does like geology and mining stuff. It must be real. It's not real.
And to be fair, that exact type of advice, or whatever we're going to call it, it's not like it couldn't have come up with that from other places. I'm literally right now, the first thing that came to my mind is, I wonder if this is like a quote from Venture in Overwatch 2. Like Venture's whole gimmick is that they are a driller or an archaeologist, whatever Venture is, and literally eats rocks. So, this is the weird kind of thing that you never know where it could come from. It could come from a bunch of different sources, and it's not like it's all properly fed into the algorithm.
Yeah, and again, this is something where like, humans struggle with like media literacy and like understanding context in this way. But
yeah, that's what Facebook's dedicated to.
Yeah. But like, if you got to that Reddit thread, like if you actually knew the context of the glue on pizza thing, and you saw the top comment was someone joking about Elmer's glue, I think that would be clear to most people that that's a joke. But because it was removed from that context and put in a Google AI answer, it seems more real.
Okay, look, I'm going to really quickly remind you, there was a point in history where some people were actually curious about injecting bleach into their bloodstream, and they wanted to consume horse dewormer or something that was being used in fish tanks.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, look,
and by people you mean failed former president Donald Trump.
And all of the a lot of the fans, not all. Certainly there are plenty of people not dumb enough to do these things, but yeah, this is media literacy has had a lot of problems over the last few years.
Yeah. I'm still dealing. My audio is still really not happy with me. Okay, all right. I've just fully switched to wired audio, so that's what we're gonna do. So there was the eating glue, the eating rocks. There was another one that someone asked if gasoline can cook spaghetti faster. And Google told them, no, you can't use gasoline to cook spaghetti faster, but you can use gasoline to make a spicy spaghetti dish. Again, I'm pretty sure that one's real, but I don't know. I'm fairly certain. There's no indication on that post. Okay, no, I'm sorry. In that, I scrolled down a little bit in that Mastodon post, and someone replied, wow, I thought this was fake, but I was able to reproduce it easily. And it's a screenshot of them asking, can I use gasoline to cook spaghetti? So that one was real. Yeah, and then there was another one where someone asked Google, are there any countries in Africa that start with the letter K? And Google said, as of September 2021, there are no sovereign countries in Africa that start with the letter K. And this comes from it indexing a Y Combinator post from 2021 where someone was pointing out what ChatGPT was saying when you asked it that question. So we're like regurgitating wrong AI answers, like almost on purpose, to an impressive level. It told someone else that President James Madison graduated from the University of Wisconsin 21 times. So well done, James. When someone asked how to pass kidney stones quickly, it said you should aim to drink at least 2 quarts of urine every 24 hours. Again, I'm pretty sure those were real, but again, like it became a meme pretty quickly, and the ones that were definitely real were bordering on this. So it's like, I don't know how much it really matters to nitpick the like.
Yeah.
The fact remains that Google rolled out a thing that was very broken and lying, and well, lying implies knowingly doing it. there's no smart brain behind this. This is just regurgitating garbage. The one I did do myself was I asked it how many bugs should I eat a day, and it told me, according to Quora, the average person eats 15 to 18 insects every night. And that screenshot is in my article.
Yes.
So that one I have journalistically verified is real. Told me I eat 15 bugs a night. So yeah, this was astounding, honestly. Like I if I get time, I might try to write a blog post. I was gonna do it after IO, but I was just so brain dead from what I had just witnessed. Of like Google, this might be the worst month in history for Google, and it's entirely their own fault. Like it is so astounding to me that earlier, like 2 weeks ago, we all watched IO, where we knew it was going to be nothing but AI slop, but it was 2 hours of like completely nonsensical statements about AI and how revolutionary it was and how helpful it's going to be in work and how it can be a great learning resource. They spent so much time on stage showing off how it can help you do schoolwork. And then a week after that, 1 week after that, when they flipped the switch on one of the things they were talking about, which, by the way, at that event when they were doing like the video demo of Google search, that video demo had something wrong in it that someone at The Verge caught. I forgot exactly what it was. I don't know if that was the thing about like cleaning your record player or whatever that was. I think that was a different thing. But anyway, like, so it was wrong in like their promo videos. They didn't check everything. And a week after, like, and like, I cannot express in words how dumb that event was. Like, it is one of the worst tech events I've ever seen. And not because like, oh, the products they talked about are bad. Like everyone does the like fun like bingo thing of like, what did they talk about, or is the products they went over like actually good or not? Like, just from the standpoint of like them on stage trying to explain things, it completely failed. They were going back and forth between pre-recorded demos to real life demos to things that are not demos that they hope will work, and they called everything Gemini, which made everything 5 times more confusing. And so they did that whole thing, and I sat there after the event like, what did I just watch? Like, if I wasn't writing down what was happening, I could not explain at the end of that what they were talking about.
So I'm going to not disagree with you. It was absolutely one of the worst tech events that I've watched. Before I forget, I also want to quickly note, you did neglect to mention that they also demoed a bunch of things that they actually had working like 8 years ago with Google Now and various other projects.
That was a common message in our Slack thread at How to Geek, was people going, haven't I seen this before?
I mean, I literally cannot think of any place where discussions were happening where people weren't saying that. And granted, it's all tech literate people, so it's people who remember this stuff from years ago. But it was cool back when we saw it years and years ago. Now that they're reintroducing it and saying, oh, but it's powered by AI this time, it's like, first, the last time it was.
Yeah.
It was AI before. We know
Little did I know, using Google Now on tap on my Nexus 5, I was actually time traveling into the future. That's crazy. So yeah, we all watched that stupid AI event that meant nothing, and they were so excited for everything they were going to show, and then a week later, it's telling people to eat glue. It's telling everyone in the United States to eat glue.
Okay, but I want to point out something, and this is something everyone should take to remember through the rest of your life. Take this to your grave. Just remember, one of the most highly valued companies in the country told people to eat glue, and the stock market didn't penalize them.
Doesn't matter.
The stock didn't drop after this. I'd just like to point that out, because remember, the stock market is fake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, like it literally means nothing. That's why Nvidia is like 5 times the value of like the rest of the global economy combined.
I mean, that's a little fair. They deserved it. They've been doing really good work all these years. They get to have their moment.
I went to the store and I bought my 12 RTX 2070s. You know, I'm doing my part. So
yeah. So anyway, oh man, this thing's so stupid. But by the way, really quick, I just want to point out too, the quality of some of the other tech events. Just to point out, the fact that Google's was, and I agree, one of the worst that I've seen, really sets a tone, because I mean, this is compared to Samsung's thing where they had a bunch of bored housewives drinking martinis on a stage in a skit, talking about how the phone changes their life. This rivals. Oh, if you've seen a OnePlus presentation, you just know what I'm talking about. This rivals. Well, look, same story for BlackBerry. I personally attended 2 BlackBerry keynotes. Let me tell you, wow. The fact Google has dug its hole that deep says a lot.
Yeah. And at least like with those, like it's just like a lot of those are just cringy. It's like, all right, this is very dumb, but like this, like I applaud Google in just pioneering a completely new way for these events to be terrible. Would have been better if they did a stupid skit, honestly. So
at this point, I think it would have been better if they just used AI to generate video for the entire event, and were just like, hey, this thing sucks, but look at it. It's still a pretty good job for what it's supposed to be. And just do that. Like nobody on stage, no humans at all, just pure fake AI video of a Google keynote presentation. Let's be honest, it would have actually been kind of cool. Even if it's garbage, it would have been cool.
Yeah. And so this was also very funny, because Google realized immediately they fucked up. But they tried to be very selective about it. So they told The Verge that most of the mistakes were actually, they gave me the same statement, and I only found it in my inbox today. So that went into the article today. But they said the vast majority of AI overviews provide high quality information with links to dig deeper on the web. Many of the examples we've seen have been uncommon queries, and we've also seen examples that were doctored or we couldn't reproduce. Yes. We conducted extensive testing before launching this new experience. And as with the other features we've launched in search, we appreciate the feedback. We're taking swift action where appropriate under our content policies, and using these examples to develop broader improvements to our systems, some of which have already started to roll out. So basically they were saying most of the answers are fine, and if you found something that's wrong, it's actually your fault, or you were trying to gaslight our search engine, which is true. That is what I was Googling. But again, like that's not an excuse.
Yeah, that's not the answer you should give.
No, because again, like at the scale Google is at, someone has Googled how many bugs should I eat in a day. That has happened I'm positive of it. And if someone did that, they got the answer. You're eating 15 to 18 insects every night. And I'm sure there were other like food related queries that would probably kill a person if they answered or sent them to the hospital. And it's not a good answer, guys. I'm sorry. And the funniest part of this is that I know 100% certain all the people testing this in Google saw this coming. They for sure. I'm positive they probably had dozens, maybe hundreds of people testing this at some point. Again, because this was like partially live as the opt-in thing for a while.
So really quick, I'm gonna say I guarantee, literally, I will guarantee this. There were thousands. They opened this up to everybody who works at Google. I don't think it was opened up to like non-technical employees, like the janitor didn't have it, but anybody who was in a technical position already had access to this.
Yeah, people were definitely testing this. There were absolutely, I'm positive, in some internal Google forum, all the same stuff I saw on Twitter, or not Twitter. People reposting from Twitter because I don't use Twitter, and on Mastodon.
Sure.
And yeah, and I'm sure all that came up, and the response was, "We need to launch this anyway." So,
what makes me curious is instead, what about all the people, certainly myself included, what about all of us that had early access to this? And I believe, I'm just going to guess, most of the people probably listening to this stream right now, I bet most of us had this. And you can't tell me that there weren't people sort of red teaming this right from the start. And I know I heard a little bit about that, but I never heard these types of examples, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the reason for that is that I have a feeling a lot of the people who spotted stuff were like, hey, let's just see if this gets fixed. If it does, good for them. And, we can make fun of it after. If it doesn't get fixed and it ends up going public, which almost everything Google does, this is the pattern. They come up with a thing, roll it out to some select group of people or limited group of people, and then eventually they take it public like 3 months later. That's a pattern that we've seen 100 times. I could kind of see somebody being like, if we can sit on these for just long enough, like, think of the meme potential. And they probably had, like, I'm guessing there's probably a good couple hundred of these that people are sitting on just waiting to roll out, or they started rolling them out and they just didn't catch fire the way the glue and gasoline ones did, or you never know. There's other possibilities, but I feel like a lot of people have to have come across this stuff already because people try to break stuff. I've tried to break stuff. I just didn't come across anything particularly funny.
I don't know if I think it's like that level of intentionality. I think it's more that the people who were trying to break stuff were like focusing their attention on like the chatbots because it's funnier. And I think my assumption would be when this started rolling out to everyone was when it hit that viral moment of, oh, I can just make this say the dumbest stuff, and then that just immediately escalated because it's rolled out for everyone, right? I went on my phone and asked how many bugs should I eat a day. So it's it's really bad. Like, this is astoundingly bad. Everyone's made so many comments and will continue to do so about how Google search is degraded as an experience, and how it has become less and less useful over time, as with most other search engines, because they're not good enough at stopping the scourge of SEO people from trying to play the game. And finally, we've hit peak useless Google, where it itself is telling you to eat glue. And it's really bad. Like, I honestly do not know if I've seen like a product launch this bad happen in recent history. Like, I was thinking about this for a while, and like the fact that Google flipped this on for everyone in the US, so 300 million people, whatever, and it was immediately telling people to like do hazardous things. And and again, like the important distinction here is that the AI stuff, like there's no label there like, oh, this is an experiment, don't trust it. It just says like AI overview. Like, you're on your own if it's not telling you anywhere like, hey, we haven't really tested this, because they have tested it for months now, and they've decided this is when they needed to flip the switch, even though it's clearly still terrible. Like, honestly, like the only thing I can think of that tops this in terms of like big tech stuff might be like Galaxy Note 7. like that kind of level, just like, wow, you have script. But like, even that is more understandable, because the phone exploded and then Samsung recalled it, and then the recalled phone started exploding for an entirely different reason, and then they did the responsible thing of like recalling all of them again, and also trying to get like forced software updates to like brick the phones to get people to turn them faster. So Samsung did a much better job than this. What Google did, which was fascinating to watch in real time, was they started turning off the AI answers for the questions that people were flagging. So if you went back a couple hours after the Eeny Bugs one went viral, it gave you no AI answers. It might for another one. So someone at Google, I don't know what day this was, 5 days ago. The How To Geek doesn't put the dates on the articles anymore, and it makes me sad.
Oh god.
But whatever night this was, someone at Google's job was looking through Twitter and seeing how terrible everything was going, and just whack-a-moling each answer. Like, okay, don't tell people to eat glue anymore. Don't tell people to eat bugs anymore. And they're just doing that. I'm sure someone's still doing that. And that's been their answer. And I've noticed, based on like what I've talked to people at in the How To Geek Slack and some other like friend conversations, is it seems like they've rolled back like the threshold for that AI overview to come out. Like, maybe if it's not entirely sure, it just won't show anything. I don't know what the mechanism is, because I couldn't get it to show up at all on Firefox on my desktop anymore. But when I logged into Chrome, it worked. But I've seen other people talk about like other combinations worked, or just they're unaffected. So they're doing something to limit it, but I don't know what. I thought it'd be funny if like they like blacklisted everyone's Google account who was Googling weird stuff a week ago. But again, like, it was working for me in Chrome, so that doesn't seem to be what happened. But regardless, they have like partially quietly rolled it back. This is impressively terrible. Like, it's pretty astounding to watch Google self-destruct in this manner. And again, nothing will change, because they needed the AI thing to be out, and now it's out. So we can all suffer the consequences together.
Yep. And the stock will continue to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Poopy said, the solution to fixing the confidently lies machine is to turn it into a Redditor. Yeah, and I don't know where I saw this again. I'll have to look for it, but I did see an article that was talking about how with one of the recent updates where Google started prioritizing Reddit results, Reddit is now like significantly jumped up in average Google search results. So now companies are vastly increasing the hiring and managing of just turfing Reddit, basically, like pretending to be a person, but making like subtle product recommendations all the time, but still like doing other activity on the side to make it seem like a real person. Yeah. So Reddit is going to continue to become more useless over time too. So,
by the way, if anyone's looking to hire somebody to do that,
yeah. Yeah, I'll show something. That's fine.
I mean, it's gotta pay some sort of a salary, right?
Yeah, I mean, getting paid to just post memes in between your advertising of like Microsoft Word. That sounds great. Like, I'll sign up for that.
We could just go lurk on, or not lurk, but do the occasional post on the Overwatch sub. We can shill for some company, post a few memes, maybe post some pictures of cats and dogs, and sounds like a job.
Yeah.
I want to get paid to do that.
Well, I guess in another way, I do get paid to post.
Yeah, you do. I wish I did.
Just in a less fun way, and I don't get quite as many opportunities to shit post, but no, it does still happen sometimes. It's been known to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I don't know that there's much more to say on this, but at least today, I don't know that there's much more to say.
Just that it's a developing situation.
Yeah. Almost at this stage, it's an undeveloping situation. They're reversing course.
Tune back next week. I mean, since I still have it in my Chrome, I can just sit here while we're talking and start putting in garbage.
Oh well, speaking of bad AI, or the bad decisions that seem to be surrounding AI, let's talk real quick about OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. So for those that don't recall, Sam Altman was at one point in history not OpenAI CEO. It was a short-lived weekend, but he was fired. I think it was on a Friday. I might have that wrong. And he was rehired by like Tuesday or something. I don't know. It was really quick, and most of the drama happened over the weekend. So, some executives had to be losing their marbles over the chaos. But an article coming out of Mashable covered an interview with Helen Toner. I'm guessing that's how her name is pronounced. And it basically brings to light some of the things that happened that led up to that firing, some of what happened during the firing, not literally during the event, but during the period of time that he was fired, and kind of what's happened since. I'm not going to rehash everything. If you want to read it, from what I've read of it, and I did kind of skip over a few parts, but from what I read, this is a pretty damning discussion about how things went at that company. The really simple, brief part is, leading up to his firing, Sam apparently had gained a reputation among the board members for lying his ass off. Pretty universally, he would make things up. He told them different things that were very categorically untrue. And at a certain point, many months before he was fired, they were already discussing firing him.
So he was Google search.
Yes. He was hallucinating things from the beginning.
Yeah.
In fact,
pretend you're being honest with me, Sam.
This was the inspiration for hallucinations. In fact, this is why all AI systems have hallucinations. They modeled after Sam. So, anyway, he apparently, according to this article, one of the things that happened is the board members, who you would think should probably know a lot about what's going on, the board members did not know that ChatGPT had even launched until they saw it on social networks, or like social media. So, I mean, that's pretty bad. I think we can all agree that's probably not a status any company should be in, where the board literally doesn't even know what's happening because the CEO just randomly decides one day, let's launch. Which, if anyone's thinking back to when this happened, honestly, that's kind of how it felt. I do remember just one day, all of a sudden, there was this thing everyone was calling ChatGPT. It very quickly was gaining attention, and it seemed like it was not marketed. They weren't prepared. It didn't seem like there was even really like announcements prepared. It just was there, and people suddenly started using it. So anyway, this goes it goes further into discussing how um let's see why did they fire him because of the lying. um
And this also fits into the whole Scarlett Johansson thing, where it seems like Sam was just like on his own terms, like trying to do that, and the company was very much like doing a different thing, but I guess powerless to stop him. I don't know.
yeah,
Um,
well, to be fair, he is CEO, and as a board, which their board was
right, it's not rando engineer's job to reel in Sam here.
well, yeah, there's that too. But I mean, their board was supposed to be kind of there to maintain the goals of OpenAI as like not an evil creation, and so their job was obviously to fire him, but it wasn't necessarily their job to tell him when and how to do things. So he does have some lateral power, but or unilateral power, but it's not universal. Anyway, let me read just this one passage. This stood out to me so much. Quote, when ChatGPT came out in November 2022, the board was not informed in advance about that. We learned about ChatGPT on Twitter. Sam didn't inform the board that he owned the OpenAI startup fund, even though he constantly was claiming to be an independent board member with no financial interest in the company. On multiple occasions, he gave us inaccurate information about the small number of formal safety processes that the company did have in place, meaning that it was basically impossible for the board to know how well those safety processes were working or what might need to change. Seriously? I mean, their job is literally to oversee this stuff. And he was lying about every bit of it. Or hiding it, or at least avoiding discussions. And the fact that he had a major financial stake in it is also very problematic. I mean, you expect that for a CEO, but maybe not to the extent of this. So, yeah,
he's fitting in right with the big boys in big tech.
He's definitely trying to. Well, he is now, actually.
Yeah. They grow up so fast.
Yeah. Anyway, then this goes on to discuss what happened after they fired him, which of course everybody thinks back to that story about how 500 of the employees at the company signed a statement basically saying they were all going to leave if he wasn't brought back. This person, Toner, she basically said that what it looked like, or what her take on it was, is a lot of those people mostly just feared losing their jobs, and that he had created a toxic work environment, and a lot of the people thought that if he was gone, then their product, their company, everything was just going to vanish overnight too. So of course they would demand to have him come back. And there was also accusations that he was leading a smear campaign against her, not to mention at least one of the others who co-authored a paper that apparently was not super forgiving. This goes on and on. The stories are not good. So yeah, if you want to see what a toxic work environment sounds like, frankly, just listen to Corbin and I tell stories about places we worked, or you can read this article. Because wow, this is exactly the type of bad place that you're warned to try not to work at. And some people still end up there. Awesome. Honestly, AI over... Oh, okay. We're like one unhinged tweet from him being a baby Musk. I mean, he is. Okay, actually, you know what? I take that back. He's not out there spreading Nazi propaganda or talking about like how bad the various races are.
Yeah, he's bad in a completely different way. That's kind of more traditional big tech guy, which is There are huge problems in the world, and my product is the only thing that can save them. Like his favorite thing to go on about is the energy usage and energy crisis, which, as we all know, AI has significantly accelerated. Like every tech company that had like a climate, net zero carbon goal just completely threw it out the window last year. They don't care anymore. So he's been going around being like, oh, AI will solve our like energy problems. Like, no, it won't. Shut up. It's telling me to eat glue. It's not gonna know how to do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a little hot take here. I think he is a hybrid of Steve Jobs and the CEO of Uber. Alternatively, if you don't like the CEO of Uber, you could use was it Bobby Kotick, the former CEO of Activision? Might have that wrong. Anyway,
I think that's right.
Yeah,
Bobby.
I'm picking these people because he definitely has sort of the Steve Jobs CEO quality of saying like, my product is best, screw everything else, win at all cost. And he also treats his employees obviously really badly, especially if they don't deliver every time he asks for something. And I'm picking the Activision or Uber CEOs for the mere fact that, I mean, it kind of comes back again to the Scarlett Johansson thing. It's sort of the frat boy disrespect of people. And sort of the, I want what I want, and I really don't care who gets hurt by it. I don't care about other people's rights. I don't care how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
It comes across that way. So yeah, he is that CEO, which, or at least that's the perception that certainly is coming out at this stage. And people could make certain assertions and assumptions about him based on the Scarlett Johansson situation or some of the others. But the thing is, all of those are kind of two-dimensional until we keep getting sort of this, there's smoke coming out of every window of the building. There's obviously a fire here. Like it's becoming very clear the type of person he is. It's too many different sources, too many different aspects, and it doesn't feel like a hit piece anymore. This feels like people are just actually describing him, and the cork is out of the bottle. Like it's too late to hide it anymore. He's just this kind of person. Mm-hmm. And now that I've said that, AI will absolutely come to kill me.
Yep.
So shall we move on? Or do you have?
Sure. No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. So let's talk about another thing going kind of haywire for companies, or a company. Google has had a little bit of a security problem. I mean, we just finished making fun of Google for bad AI. Now we have to make fun of them for accidentally having a massive document leak. And it's unclear if this is accidental or if one person actually leaked this. It is purported by oops.
I mean, they said the SEO guy said a source shared 2,500 pages of documents with him.
Yeah.
So this sounds like disgruntled employee.
Okay. Yes, but reading through a bit more of this article on SparkToro,
Mm-hmm.
by Rand Fishkin, he also discussed how a lot of documents were, or a lot of different things were posted to GitHub, and some of this may have come from there. It's a little unclear. The origin of all of these documents is not exactly specific, so I believe I have a suspicion it's probably a combination of leaker who brought some of this on their own, and possibly the leaker also brought out some of the stuff that that officially did leak through GitHub. Regardless, still this is 2,500 pages of internal documents, which all discuss Google search. That's a lot of information. It's a lot of detail that obviously could kind of... I'm not going to suggest that it gives away Google's secret sauce. I don't think it does at all. But I think it might go a long way to showing how much Google is actually tracking. Perhaps some of the not so kosher methods that they're using for tracking. Some of what came out is certainly that they were obviously recording a lot of user behavior through Google Chrome. They were also obviously tracking like how multiple searches in a row might factor into an end result. Some of this stuff, by the way, I will say actually does genuinely increase search relevance. Other things you can kind of just read this and get the whole, maybe this has to do with search, but it really feels more like it has to do with advertising.
Yeah, and a lot of this was already known to some extent. Like they talk about in this that some searches were designed to only surface specific websites. Like they talk about like COVID information. Like, yeah, you'd probably want a lid on what gets pushed to the top there. I don't know if that was known for Google search, but I know that has been a thing with Google Discover for a long time. I think it leaked a while back. There's a list of websites that are banned from Discover, and it's some like I remember that there were a couple that are just like The Onion, like yeah, like I guess if you're trying to make something that's like informational, that might get lost, that might get misled.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
I like how you thought of the one site that everyone can mostly agree with. No, they're okay, but they still have to be banned.
Yeah.
As opposed to the litany of sites that it's like, oh no, we have to ban them for the other reasons.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't want Google Discover to tell people to include. That would be too far.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry. That was the Eating Rocks. That was the Onion article.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, I honestly, as you were just starting to say it before you said The Onion, I was thinking, you're totally about to name Breitbart. You're totally about to name Breitbart. You're totally about to name Breitbart.
I think that was in there.
It better be.
Yeah. So,
anyway,
like, yeah, I people are gonna keep digging through this. There's nothing here that seems like super duper all that shocking. The thing that was kind of the most interesting to me was Google was organizing like sublinks on a website based on Chrome behavior. So they show a screenshot and it's like, what you've seen in Google search where like there's like a main link for like the home page of a website and then a couple sub pages like tab indented, and they were saying that Chrome's click data was used to like sort that. So that's kind of more of an argument that if you don't want to be used for search engine data, you can use a different web browser. Maybe that was probably already a safe assumption, but there's kind of more evidence here of that. I saw the one thing that was getting mentioned a lot was stuff about content writers. So they mentioned they found evidence that Google is like specifically recording who writes an article that shows up in search. And this has been a big topic because Google has been hammering people about supposed trustworthiness in that it will surface content written by people who know what they're talking about, and that Google, and the theory being among the SEO people, which I do not ascribe to, is the theory that the all-knowing Google knows how smart you are about any subject, and it will read your own descriptions of yourself or your site's description of yourself and ascribe a knowledge reliability, basically, that like this person knows what they're talking about. And there's nothing in here yet that's showing that. The author thing is mostly like it's sorting based on author as a like a data point. So that in theory could be used for more stuff down the line, but like I thought that was already obvious because when you do a Google search, I guess it doesn't show the author name in the search field, but it will pull other data from the article to show there. Like if it's a review, it'll show like this number of stars and that kind of thing. So like that part like seems pretty obvious to me that they'd be doing that. And again, there's not really any evidence of the sort of like far-reaching like authority guessing that has become the common theory among the SEO folk.
Yeah. That being said, I guess kind of a little bit of inside knowledge, but this is hardly new information. But for example, right now I've got up on screen my author page on Android Police, and let's just say there was a point in history where this did not have a lot to it. There was very little on here, but over the last few months, we've been told very clearly to fill this out right as much as we can, really, as a bio, to fill out various like question and answer stuff, which I personally think that that's more of an SEO thing. And obviously to also attach as many links to our various social networks, and even putting in a so-called expertise field. Like all of these are things that we're being told by Valnet management, hey, it'd be great if you fill this stuff out. Also, you may have noticed over at least somewhat recent history, more and more journalists are popping up in Google's knowledge, like knowledge panels or info panel, whatever it is. So if you search for somebody, you will come up with their name, possibly photo, often a description, links to maybe profiles that they have, websites that they are writing on, things like that. So a lot of this stuff has been cropping up pretty heavily lately. Austin. So yeah, I mean, and this isn't an unreasonable thing if you ask me. I think it's fine that Google is trying to attach some value to known authors. But at the same time, it also poses some other challenges and weirdness. Just as a side note, Corbin, your info panel on Google just completely has the email address right there. I'm not sure you want that in.
I mean, it's on my website, so it's probably fine. But
Yeah,
I did do the thing where I tried to claim my panel because it said someone else already had it. But
Oh,
I
really?
think I don't know if that's a bug or something, and they have not got back to me, so I might need to ask again.
Yeah, I claimed mine, and the claiming process wasn't hard or anything, not technically, but bit of a dumb thing about it is the claiming process is also completely or mostly useless. It doesn't give you the ability to edit this section. All it does is give you the ability to the same ability you already had to make recommendations for changes, and then somebody else has to go in and edit it for you. And the thing is, the changes that you can recommend, they can ignore or not take seriously anyway. So also, it's really funny to me that, and I am absolutely not going to change this, by the way, for whatever reason, it thinks I'm a photographer, which, I mean, I do shoot a lot of photos, but
that's technically true.
Yes, it is technically true, but for some reason that's what it thinks that I'm known for, which is hilarious. So I'm just gonna leave that and see how long it takes for Google to catch on. But yes, technically, Austin, I am somewhat verified. And one of these days, I need to actually give like a proper description, and I need to point it to other profiles because LinkedIn and Twitter are not what I consider good choices. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole leak thing is so fascinating because a lot of the takeaways from this has been like, wow, Google has not been completely honest with us. And it's like, yeah, but also like y'all make up shit too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like I get like a nervous twitch in with a lot of these the SEO discourse circles.
Yep, that's what I was just going to say. Is SEO is already a slimy, shady industry that
I've made this
as much as they can. So I don't blame Google for not being completely forthright.
Right.
It's their algorithm. It's their intellectual property and their business secret. I'm okay with them not sharing all of that.
Like, this is an industry where, because this is so locked down, if like something worked once, it just kind of gets repeated and then morphed into something else over time. And there's a lot of like bad advice that flows through that at certain points becomes like the problem of other people, not just the SEO people obsessed with this stuff. Like, it gets to the point where CNET starts deleting articles because they think it's going to help their SEO, and other websites did that as well. XDA did that while I was there because their SEO person thought that that was helpful, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't. And when it blew up again because CNET was doing it, someone from Google literally said, like, please don't do that. We never told you to do that. That doesn't help. Don't do that. So like this just happens over and over. Like, this is just like SEO. I've said it many times. SEO is just astrology for men. It's just like this sounded right. It maybe worked. It was maybe true like once or twice. So now it's just like how it works. It's like, no, I'm sorry, it's not. And I get frustrated easily about this, and I know Cody does as well, because the downline effects come down to like affecting what we write, and it does get frustrating. Like, I'd be mad if hundreds or thousands of my articles got wiped off the internet for no reason whatsoever. Especially if it was on the advice of an SEO person who thought they were being helpful and they were not. So I don't know. This is just a big dumpster fire, and the leak is like moderately interesting, but at least at this point, it doesn't really seem to change anyone's understanding of how this all works. And this is also an ever-changing algorithm that mostly just changes to get worse. Google searches mostly just got worse, so whatever's in here might not be relevant for that long, especially if people can somehow use any of this to game the system.
Yeah. So the Verge is specifically framing the title around the fact that Google wouldn't comment on the leak, which I'm gonna venture a guess that right now they probably have a lot of people just going over the pages of the leak, page by page, looking as much as they can get, or at least if they could get. I don't know. Yeah, all this stuff's open now. I'm assuming that they're probably combing over this, looking at how much damage they could be open to. And likewise, I wouldn't be surprised if there are probably some states' attorneys general that are probably also looking over this stuff, because this could be setting up Google for, maybe more lawsuits, maybe a deeper probe. You never know. But all of this, it's not. I don't think that there's any bombshells in here. I don't think anyone's surprised by how Google has done a lot of business over the years. And I even said it earlier. Some of what's in here, honestly, it's stuff we either knew about or could have predicted because it's just actually the right way to do the things that they were trying to do.
Right, like the top the top complaint in the SEO person's article is Google said repeatedly that uh, click centric user signals, which I believe they're referring to the uh, thing in Chrome. No, I'm sorry, that is about click through rates. Um, just like a lot of like little stuff, like you know, I don't want to defend tech company for just kind of like lying if that's what they were doing, but also like I don't know if there's a winning thing with all this because again, like you're not supposed to fully know how it works, is the thing, because then you can take advantage of it, and then that's how we get the current state of Google search. So maybe if they were lying, they should have just said like, "We're not telling you guys, go away."
Yeah.
But it's I don't know, again, because again this is very like black box stuff. It's not Google's like responsibility to allow basically people to game their own system. But I don't. It's a very murky place, and I think the SEO people are upset because they feel like they've been lied to.
Though I'm gonna throw a bit of a counterpoint on this one. The I know that this is gonna sound like a real slippery slope argument, and it is, but I in a way like it would be okay the if the companies that we knew for a fact are being well behaved, if they were given, I don't want to say special treatment, but if Google is going to help them out in ranking highly, there's, that's generally a positive thing. If well behaved, but maybe not like your best intentioned companies, but just generally well behaved companies, if they're getting a leg up, I'm generally okay with that too. The problem that I think we all are kind of aware of, some of us maybe a little more intimately than others, is that companies that are really not well behaved, do not have the best of intentions, and just generally are problematic in various ways, they're the ones who Google seems to share a lot of these details with. That, I think, is the problem. Or, well, that's emblematic of a very large problem. It's not the lone problem, but it is certainly a bigger problem. And I feel like, don't get me wrong, I think Wikipedia probably gets plenty of special treatment here, but I think we can probably name other sites that are more ethical and better behaved in what they do. Whereas we can point to some sites that, and The Verge covered this perfectly a few months ago. There are some sites that they are just the worst, like the actual worst, and they rank very, very highly.
Like
and
AI generated slop, like just zero effort whatsoever.
Well, that, or I was thinking the review bombers.
Yeah.
The sites that have never touched the product, but they have a few people who claim to be experts that just basically write the specs down on a page. They write some garbage text around it, and because they have cross-linked and cheated the system so much, they always take top ranking. And of course, a lot of this has to do, or a lot of this can be seen in that the website that keeps banging the drum about this, that they do air purifier reviews. I can't think of the name of them right now, but they're the ones who've been calling out Google for the last few months, and like they've documented it perfectly. It's very, very blatant that very bad companies have been able to game the system, and I think it's naive to think Google isn't giving them some help.
And like I guess like I have a lot of feelings, and I don't have good words for them. I'll say like I guess the closest I can come to a coherent statement here is a lot of the stuff that specifically this article is mad at, but I'm assuming is also like general consensus stuff among the SEO folks, is very specific details that shouldn't matter. So like in this, he's talking about Google has lied to us that click through user signals, like if someone clicks on a certain search result, that then counts for algorithm stuff and other stuff like Google denying that a domain's age is collected or considered as search results. Like this is very like nitpicking stuff that shouldn't really matter. Like I could understand it if Google, like again, like going back to kind of what I said earlier, where Reddit is now rated significantly higher than a lot of other websites. And obviously that's Google's prerogative because a lot of people were adding Reddit to their search results because enough people have realized like all this other stuff is crap. So I get why Google has done that. But I can understand the logic there of like being if I was gonna write product reviews and there was a Reddit thread just filled with like someone who tried it 8 years ago and that was above me, be like, that's kind of weird. But it's like they're mad about these very specific details because that's their job, is trying to use every single tool at their disposal. Like what's everything we're doing and how can that affect this? And I understand they're doing that because that's their job and someone's paying them money to do that. But it still comes across to me as like very like not controlling, but like getting upset over the wrong things. Like Google's told people over and over and over again, like just write good stuff and we'll do it for you, and like that should be advice number one. Now granted, that doesn't reflect the search results all that much. But it also doesn't seem like a lot of there's unfortunately fewer and fewer sites trying that because you can get away with less. So again, I don't think that was a coherent response either. But basically, just like the stuff they're getting mad at is very like procedural or like things that are probably not like huge ranking indicators. Like if you're worried about like I don't know. Again, like it's hard for me to like put this into terms that like make sense. But I just think a lot of this comes across as like like you were saying, like kind of nitpicky or like like we probably could have guessed that. So not yet a big smoking bomb, but if it turns out Google does in fact rank your website higher when you delete thousands of articles, I will get upset at them. And I will take back what I said.
Yes. So Austin, I like that. Are we at the point where a bunch of intranets is the solution again? When did we ever leave that point? Haha.
Yeah, I know like like this combined with the AI overview stuff, and I know like someone wrote a good article about this recently. I think Casey Newton, and there's just a very like dark future in the next couple years about like how all this is going to work, because there's a lot of stuff kind of kicking up how all these systems are supposed to work, and it's not clear to what extent, like it's not clear like how this will end. Like, does this end with just no one clicking links in Google search anymore? Does this end with what has been a trend over the past couple years where people don't use Google search at all for information gathering? They go to TikTok and they search a video. They go to YouTube and they search a video. Like, there's all these different factors going on. Some of them are already happening, like the TikTok thing. but others like the AI stuff is new. Again, Google search is continuing to get worse. Just outside of the AI search results. So like, what's the end game here? Is I think a much bigger thing to be worried about than the minute details about SEO ranking algorithms, because a lot of this discussion, again, I know they're going on about this because that is their job, whereas my job is trying to write stuff and ideally trying to get people to read what I write. So different priorities, I understand that, but I do wonder where this ends. And I don't know. I can't even make a prediction about this stuff because it seems like it's like you told me a year ago that like, well, not a year ago. Let's try 3 years ago. If you had told me 3 years ago that Google would ship an AI search feature that told people to eat glue and rocks and everything, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of surprising. That's not good.
3 years ago?
Yeah,
I honestly, yeah, I think I would have believed that.
Well,
if someone told me
maybe
back
not
around the time that they launched Glass, I would have thought, okay, you're screwing with me.
Well, the difference between like the top Google search result being eating rocks, yeah, it was already going downhill. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a lot of scary stuff, and you know my outlook is still kind of something that was hammered into me by previous bosses, was like, just write good, just write, try to be helpful, try to write good, and you can slowly accumulate an audience or maintain an audience. And that's what drives me up a wall with a lot of these SEO discussions, is like that's still kind of the core thing. And this is something that, like, again, I've only been a conscious adult for so long, but my understanding is that this has basically always been how like media and technology are interacting with each other. It's just constantly like changing how we receive information and act on it, and the avenues for that keep changing. And this is another change. This is probably the worst one for everyone involved, because users don't get helpful answers. They get told to eat rocks and glue. And media companies have to make like protection racket deals with OpenAI, so for the rights to their content, because otherwise OpenAI will like just index it anyway and tell courts like, you can't prove anything, because they can't. So a lot of stuff to consider, but I don't, in that broader context, I find it difficult to care about like things that Google said 8 years ago to an SEO person that now turn out to be not true.
Mm-hmm.
So like I clicked one of the links to the user signals one, and it was like an article written in 2015. So I think things change over time, guys. Hot take. Or it could have already been wrong, but
yeah, obviously there's no perfect answer to this, plus the answer's always going to keep moving. I'm not picking on how you said it or what you said, but just to kind of use what you said, you don't know how this ends. The reality is it never does, not until the human race is dead. So we've got
well, I'll probably die sometime before then. Well, okay, all right.
Hey, like I said in that one private conversation, if November happens,
right.
Anyway,
well, if November happens, but then 3 months later I'm taken out by the super cyclone tornado, because there's a lot more of those now. Yay.
But still, the point is, like, there is no end result. There's always going to be, the current status, and then whatever things are happening, there's always going to be somebody out there trying to cheat or find a leg up, and in the process of doing that, things will have to change again. No matter what anybody comes up with, there will always be somebody who tries to cheat, and as a result, you'll always have to come up with yet another new thing in order to prevent the cheat or limit its effect or whatever. The problem right now is Google not only has been failing to prevent the cheating, they've made it easier to cheat and kind of been telling companies how to cheat.
Right. This is the thing that, like, I was thinking about briefly 10 minutes ago when you were talking, is Google gives an incredible level of insight into how you do on their products. If you own a website, you can use Google Analytics to see how many views came from different sources. They have a Google Trends page where just anyone can see how a search does, and maybe if you should have a web page there if you're a developer. I'm sorry, like a writer, whatever. And they have like a whole Google Search Console where you can see, like, which search terms are driving people to site. Like, there's so much insight they give, and that's part of why the SEO industry exists, because you need someone to analyze that information and try to make decisions. And then again, I was saying earlier, like, a lot of people just don't use Google Search anymore. They go to TikTok. What TikTok tells you? Fucking nothing. You're on your own, pal. Like, completely different ballgame. So yeah, that is definitely part of it. We're like, yeah, the tools are helpful, but then they get used to game the algorithm. But actually, our algorithm is fine because it's American. It's
Wow, you went there.
Yeah. Well, we're having the TikTok discourse again, unfortunately, because TikTok didn't sell to Oracle 2 years ago. So now Kevin O'Leary wants to buy it minus the algorithm because China's not giving that up. Or rather, China won't let TikTok give that up. I'm not trying to be evil China.
Yes. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, we've probably gone on.
Hopefully, whoever was watching that got something from that. I don't know if I did.
Well, I like to think that the analytical thought and how we got from point A to point B is inspiring.
The real moral of the story is SEO. Remember, kids, SEO is astrology for men. Remember that.
I do like that.
I've posted that. I've made a post of that like 10 times. It's a banger every single time because it's true.
Yeah. Well, so we were just beating up on Google and other companies for being, doing what companies do. Well, another thing companies do is try to acquire smaller companies and become infinitely more powerful. That's something T-Mobile wants to do. And they're trying to do it by eating US Cellular. Which, if you've looked into market share numbers, that's pretty much a small snack at this stage. US Cellular's hardly a super relevant company. But anyway, so it was announced, this is what, yesterday. This was announced yesterday morning that T-Mobile has reached a deal with US Cellular to acquire it. In their blog post, which we obviously discussed in some depth in Discord, their blog post basically talks about, we'll make everything better and this brings more choice to users, lie. And, this will solve lots and lots of troubles that T-Mobile has with spectrum and bandwidth in various regions, lie. And it will, it will increase the already best-in-class T-Mobile service. Okay, that might not be a lie, but it's close enough to a lie, so let's call it a lie. And of course, they also highlight their value-packed plans. I'm not even going to say what they're claiming here because it's all a lie. Anyway, so yeah, this is a thing. Corbin, how do you feel?
Nationalize everything.
Yes.
I want my unlimited plan. I want my Joe Biden phone plan that costs $10 and has unthrottled, unlimited 5G service, but it does not have tethering. You have to pay for the Dark Brandon plan for that.
Yes.
No, but yeah, I don't. I saw a really funny post that was like, why is T-Mobile allowed to buy the fourth biggest carrier every 5 years?
It is true.
They're just allowed to. So, I think it's funny that the I'm they say in their press release, which I put in the YouTube chat. I don't know if that's the same link you were looking at.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. They say the regulatory approval is expected to close in mid 2025. So this probably depends on who gets elected in November. But also maybe a chance that current administration would allow this with maybe a few concessions. I'm sure AT&T and Verizon will have something to say about this, and they will have to make their case made. I don't know. I again, this gets back into the thing where I get really concerned about any infrastructure consolidation, and it especially gets murky when these aren't really utilities, and even if they were utilities, we don't police those very well either. I've since learned, moving to North Carolina, that Duke Energy can get this state to do basically whatever it wants, with very minimal consequences, and in return I get power that goes out if it's a little bit windy outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really like any of this, and this is also a very funny thing to announce, because last week, they just raised prices on a bunch of like grandfather plans that might have been like 5 or 6 years old, and that's not really surprising. But when I was writing it, I went back and I looked at the press release at the time, which thankfully they haven't changed, and the entire, like, literally half of this massive press release, longer than this, was just about like, carriers keep raising prices and we will never raise prices on our customers on this plan. Like, it is just astounding to the level that carriers are allowed to just say whatever they want, like, constantly. And like, there's like a little asterisk that lets them do it, but sometimes it's not. They can just do whatever they want. Like, the one thing that really gets me is, this might just be a US thing. Maybe other countries have gone around to regulating this at all. But when carriers are allowed to constantly advertise phone plans, but they're always at like 5 people. You've got a family of 5. How much you're like, you see a T-Mobile ad, it's like $20 for unlimited. It's like, great. If you have a herd of humans on your plan, you get the $20. And like, that's just the most obvious one that keeps happening over and over again. But there's a bunch of little things that add up to that too.
To be fair, other countries don't have to advertise that way because their cellular service is actually cheap.
Right. Other places, there's this thing called regulation. But Austin said force all carriers to sell MVNO access at cost. Yeah, I fucking forgot they want to buy. They just finished buying Mint Mobile too, so they just got a bunch of other customers. So it's like, guys, please stop. Someone stop this company from buying everything. They're going to buy my house next. They don't even need it, but they're going to.
At least they're going to be stuck in a bidding war with Valdet.
That's true.
Okay, so I actually want to call out a distinction on it's actually something that you quoted, but there's an important distinction here. You said that regulatory approval was expected to close in mid 2025. Clarification. It is the transaction, which is subject to satisfaction of customary closing conditions and receipt of certain regulatory approvals. So the transaction is expected to close mid-2025. And the reason I want to call this out, it's because this is literally the only place in this entire post where they clearly mention regulatory approval. That's it. So technically they do at least use the word regulatory actions in one other small print passage. That's it. It's very clear they want to avoid discussing regulations. They do not want any reference to the FCC. Excuse me 1 second. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe I'm not. Okay. I think I'm safe. Anyway, I get the distinct impression they're trying to avoid mentioning anything. And that's understandable. This is supposed to be like an optimistic blog post or announcement. You don't come in here and just casually raise your hand and say, well, if we're allowed to do it, then this is a deal we think we've made, and there's no other discussion to be had here. We think we covered all of our bases, but there's going to be a lot of other stuff that other people want to say, and well, AT&T and Verizon might have disagreements too. You don't do that blog post. When you do a blog post, you come out and say, this is great, everyone's going to be happy, there's nothing in our way, it's all smooth sailing. That's normal, but at the same time, it's really critical to remember the odds of this closing, that honestly I think are pretty good, because T-Mobile is very likely the last place if all you're measuring by is customer numbers. And it is not unreasonable to think that US Cellular just really can't continue on its own forever. So, logically, somebody probably is going to grant this sale. That being said, I don't think that they're going to fly through this. When you have what is effectively now a triopoly, and the two competitors are both going to be very vocally against this, I'm banking on that. AT&T and Verizon will have nothing but bad words to say on this.
And the FCC has decided to actually start doing some things again.
Right.
Not to the extent I want, but get what you can. Take the wins.
Yeah. So the thing is, I think that this is going to meet a lot of opposition. And yes, it will depend very much on who is the next president. It's going to depend on a lot of questions at the FCC. The DOJ may get involved in this as well. Actually, I would expect they will. I don't think that this flies through without opposition. So I'm sure this will make for some news in the future, but we'll probably not hear anything about it except I'm sure AT&T and Verizon will eventually speak up on this, but or fairly soon they'll speak up on this. But I have a feeling we're not going to hear anything for probably several months, while the actual slow moving gears kind of turn on statements coming out from the FCC, DOJ, and whomever else. Who knows? At this point, it could even reach Congress, because even though US Cellular's tiny, things like this do have a way of becoming talking points. Also, and I mentioned this before in Discord, but I think it's worth noting, US Cellular is nothing in terms of market share, but that's because they are a sub-regional carrier. They exist in basically 3 markets. Chicago area, Florida for some weird reason, and a little bit here on the West Coast. The reality is, if you look at their market share just within those individual markets, US Cellular actually makes up a pretty sizable percentage of the customers. So I could actually see there being a cause for somebody to raise alarms on that basis alone. Um,
And especially when, like, they, I'm sure they have roaming agreements with the other carriers to fill in the gaps in their other coverage.
mm-hmm.
So at that point, they're on this. They're in a very similar place as like Dish,
Yeah.
which I thought we were supposed to be making Dish a viable competitor, but okay,
Right.
here's this other company that's existed for a long time, still there. I don't know how they're doing, but they're there. So it's like, okay, so they can be wiped out, but T-Mobile had to go through all this stuff earlier to allow Dish to exist, which is a new. What are we doing here? What are we
Yeah.
doing here, guys?
Yeah, there is a weird thing where you're literally saying, okay, T-Mobile has to effectively create a new carrier by giving up some of their spectrum, some of their resources, and in a couple years later, they just buy out the other carrier that's about the same size as what Dish
Right.
eventually became.
Because like Dish right now is in the same place where they do have their own infrastructure, but you are going to be roaming a lot of the time still.
Yeah.
Um,
And realistically, the best outcome is for Dish and US Cellular and Dish to merge together.
mm-hmm. And like
Which
US Dish.
Dish Cellular.
Oh, that's got big Time Warner energy to it.
God, it really does. But it sucks to say, but it is actually the truth. The best outcome here is if somebody just sits down and says, the only merger we will allow from this point on is the two smallest of these, and yeah, that's it. Because realistically, if you actually got those two to merge, it could spike the value of both of them enough and give them some forward momentum. Now, of course, this overlooks the fact that Dish as a company is already huge. They're, well, maybe not huge. Might be a stretch,
and also
they have plenty of resources and money. So it is kind of a weird place to be, but at the same time, as a carrier, they're pretty small, and giving them some motivation to have more forward momentum would be good.
And in Dish's case, kind of their big selling point is the fact that they don't have any legacy infrastructure. Like, they're not like T-Mobile where they keep having to say they're going to turn off 3G, and then it turns out some critical infrastructure somewhere relies on them not turning off 3G. So Dish has been pretty open about the fact that like it's only 5G. It's all I've been reading a lot of their press releases because it's been pretty interesting for news coverage about how like they've got this whole different, newer, modern infrastructure than like all the other carriers. Which, like, I believe that. Like, when when you're starting from scratch, you can do a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure US Cellular has absolutely none of that. It wouldn't be surprising me if like, their cell towers like would not mesh together. But like, yeah, it would be something. If they got smushed together, maybe that something is like just Dish rolling in and putting all of its antennas on the old US Cellular towers, and we're rocking and rolling. I don't know, but again, I would just like to nationalize all of this. That would be nice. I just want the one company called Phone Carrier, and I go to them and I get the one thing that just says phone plan, and then everything's perfect, and it's run just like the USPS. But hopefully with less meddling from Congress. But
yeah. So Austin is saying there's a rumor that T-Mobile could offer Verizon some spectrum to make sure this closes. I mean, logically that's not a bad idea, but if it's allowed to happen, I think that's a problem. I believe me, I know that this is not what any of them want, but the only way I actually see this being a good outcome is if US Cellular gets folded into Dish. And I don't see that happening, to be honest, but it'd be nice to see it happen. I really don't think Dish cares about being a cellular carrier. I just
No.
truly, I think they just want to hold the spectrum. They don't want to do this. They're being forced into it, and
Yeah, they've got some like, again, I've been reading all their stuff, so maybe I've just been propagandized too. Like they've got like some pretty good infrastructure in a lot of places, but yeah, like it's very like invisible. Like I think it's just like some towers you connect to if you're on Boost Mobile sometimes. Like that's kind of the extent of it, and because they T-Mobile gave them everything to get that stupid merger with Sprint through. They've got roaming agreements with T-Mobile for years, so like they don't like really need to rely on their own infrastructure all that much for a while longer. Um, so yeah, I don't like it, guys. But this is how we roll here in the U.S. of A.
yep. So, speaking of rolling, we're gonna roll on through to YouTube.
Okay, and then I'm gonna go
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I have my grocery pickup.
Yeah, I figured one quickie and then you'll take off. Okay, so the short summary on this one, and I think by now everyone's kind of heard this or saw it coming. YouTube has apparently decided to make the viewing experience for videos worse, if not impossible, if you are using ad blockers. Now let me preface this because YouTube or Google has already given a response to this. Google claims that the things that we're about to discuss have nothing to do with trying to interfere with users with ad blockers. They are basically insisting that this was a whoops. So lie. But moving on, the things that people are actually highlighting is basically kind of the like, here's a buggy video player kind of experience. So some of it has to do with videos that apparently as soon as you start watching them, they immediately just skip to the like end. So like the last seconds or something like that. There are complaints that sometimes the videos play without audio. There are, what was one of the others? I think some of them were complaints that where was it? I know there was at least one other, but I'm blanking on what it was. Anyway, yeah, so
That's right, Hoopy.
Quickly on YouTube with Corbin banned on Twitch, gone wrong, someone lied. Yeah. Hey, look, I know my days are numbered. But yeah, this isn't the greatest, kindest episode for Google. Regardless, here's the thing. I'm just gonna say, well, okay, Corbin, what do you have any opinions on this before I go off?
My opinion is, I can believe that this is an ad blocking issue. But my assumption would be like Google just changed something and they're not testing against ad blockers because like they don't have to. That's not their that's not their job. It's not their responsibility to make sure that like if you're actively like not paying them to be there, then they need to cater to you. And because of all the other ad blocking stuff they've done, the ad blockers on YouTube have had to become more complicated and doing kind of weirder stuff to get the video playing. So it wouldn't shock me at all if like the combination of those two things, like something just really broke somewhere. That would be my assumption about what happened. And also like I don't, if Google was going to like totally block ad blockers, I don't think it would be in ways that would be like this vague, like where you just like a video just ends, you're like, oh, that's weird, and then it keeps breaking. Like there would be probably some kind of actionable thing where there'd be, like every other site does, where it's like, oh, you're using an ad blocker, why don't you cut that out? And a lot of those are then able to be worked around by ad blockers, but I don't think it would necessarily be in these invisible ways on purpose, I guess. Just because like that doesn't tell the user anything, it just tells them I'm going to stop going to YouTube because it's breaking all the time. And I think it's YouTube's fault because it's the YouTube player that won't work.
So in some ways I agree with that. I certainly agree in the context of if something like this is happening to, we'll say, YouTube Vanced kind of thing. I know Vanced is dead, but other things have popped up in its place. I fully believe that they would do something like that for those types of apps because they want those apps to appear buggy, unreliable, and damaged. But you don't want to do that with like Chrome extensions. You don't want to do that to just regular ad blockers. There you just want people to see that, oh, whoops, my I'm using an ad blocker and it's telling me don't do that. So I definitely agree with you for half of the use cases. I think it's the other half where then this becomes a perfectly valid strategy. When it comes right down to it, do I think they made a change and it just broke some stuff? Maybe. It's hard to say because this apparently is somewhat random behavior where some people don't get audio. Some people, the videos jump to the end automatically. Some people, weird other things happen. Like, it does feel, because of the randomness, it does feel like maybe this is a broken thing and like certain ads might cause one behavior.
Or, and the variance in the extensions. There's a lot of these now.
Yeah. But
even though the only one you should use is uBlock Origin, obviously.
Yes. Even though I pay for YouTube Premium, fortunately that one seems to protect most things, even when I'm using like an incognito window. So, yeah, I've been sticking with that one. Anyway, yeah, at this point, the truth of the matter is I still think that this is intentional. Maybe YouTube is technically testing a thing that is supposed to break ad blockers. And that's the change that they made. And it's not part of their ad block or anti-ad blocking campaign, but only in the sense of, well, we didn't mean for it to be part of that campaign, but it will become part of that campaign someday. Like, that could be their sort of playing with the words result to this. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to believe that this is their best strategy. I think there are better strategies, but the fact of the matter is YouTube is a business. They do have expenses associated with hosting video on the internet. I'm okay with the idea that they want to enforce some amount of anti-ad blocking like countermeasures. That's fine. That's reasonable. It's actually a thing that's kind of okay to do. Obviously, I don't think that the way that they have moved so aggressively with ads, I don't think that's good. I think YouTube has done plenty of other things wrong or unethically, but I'm okay with the idea of them doing countermeasures for ad blockers.
Yeah, I just this is my shilling, unfortunately. I did post a link to the editorial I wrote in November about YouTube ad blocking and how I think the YouTube ads are basically fine, guys. Like I have issues with some of the companies that are allowed to place ads and how there aren't like great controls for seeing what you want to view. But YouTube is like one of the this says a lot. YouTube is one of the least like advertising ridden sites on the web at this point. Just like, oh, you gotta watch a video before, you gotta watch an ad before the video starts, and like maybe a couple minutes in there's an ad, but like usually that's just because the person who made the video put the ad there, because they would like money, and Google only gives them whatever it is, 40-50%. I forget what it is. So like I this is one thing I'm not gonna get worked up about. Like, it's fine. I don't think I have anything else to say.
I'm going to kind of carry what you just said a step further and just say, if you think ads on YouTube are bad, go on Twitch. Go watch somebody on Twitch. I know not everybody's like this, and obviously each channel has the ability to control how many ads appear. But oh man, at least one of the people that I have watched in the past, if I turn on that guy's stream, seriously, it's like a minute and a half of ads every time he takes an ad break, and those ad breaks come like every 10 minutes. It's wild how often the ad breaks happen and how long they last. Whereas on YouTube, even the most aggressive ad settings, as far as I'm aware, I think you can get up to 2 pre-roll ads, and then like your mid-roll ads only, I think it's like 1 every 10 minutes or something at most. Like that, YouTube doesn't even let you make videos as bad as Twitch just like most Twitch streamers do. So
and this has been another one of those internet discourses where the stuff that people complain about are sort of like, you can tell they're reaching for something to justify like being this upset, which is like, some of the comments have been insane about this. Like, people are not normal about this. We're like, oh, YouTube's got 3-hour ads now. It's like, the ad, you can skip it after 3 seconds.
It depends on the ads. Some don't let you skip it all.
Yeah, but those are maxed out at 15 or 30 seconds.
I think it's 15.
Yeah, so it's like, again, like the hours things, like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Go click the button.
Now, that being said, and look, I'm not defending this argument, but
Right.
I will say
I'm not going to defend this. Let's go break Corbin for the next ad.
Well, I was going to say it feels different depending on also what you're watching. Because if you're sitting down to watch like somebody's vlog, watching a pre-roll, then watching however many minutes of the vlog, and then having a few ad breaks in between, that is very different than, hey, I want to sit down and watch music videos, and literally every music video is broken up by a 30-second ad. These are different experiences. So I kind of get the argument in that sense, but it's a little bit of a push and a pull.
Hoopy said, we've entered the period of time where there are teens, adults who don't remember a time before YouTube was a universal free service, and those people are now in the hazmat. Honestly, this is what I said in the article. It's like, please think about for 1 second, like, how many videos are hosted on YouTube completely for free. They don't charge hosting for any period of time. You could just dump whatever you want on there. They show ads, but they give like a pretty decent cut, more than TikTok does, like, or any other like related competing thing. No one has touched YouTube on this. Like, CDNs all over the earth. Like, obviously Google is scaled for this, but like, they're part of the reason they're scaled for this is to meet demands of YouTube. Like, just sit through the ads. Stop bitching. I'm tired of this.
So while I think we agree pretty wholeheartedly on both of these, or on this thread of logic, but I will say, especially because I literally just ranted about, or not ranted, but I brought it up yesterday. Whenever we see YouTube pushing further in that direction of something that we don't like, cheers to pushing back. Because look, Twitch is horrible. TikTok is unpleasant. All of these things suck in ways, and people will make excuses for why they're okay with it. But at the end of the day, when a service decides to make their experience worse in ways, and sure, maybe it's for making money, maybe it's to cover their costs, whatever, but if they make their service worse in ways and it is effectively just greed, it's up to the users to push back. So some amount of pushback should exist with pretty much any move, and it is good that it's there. It needs to be there because look, it's not going to keep companies honest, but it's going to make them at least a little bit more considerate or thoughtful about the changes that they make and whether or not it's going to cost them more to make those changes. That doesn't mean they won't make them. It doesn't mean that they're not still going to do things that are going to make users unhappy. But at least they might not go fully jumping the shark with each of their decisions. And that's what I ask for usually.
Yeah, and again, there are some valid complaints. Like, honestly, like if I was like a trans person and I kept getting fed this like fucking, Daily Wire horse manure ads that like I've gotten sometimes, because I think I turned off like ad like recommendations or like targeting at some point.
You turned off personalized ads,
right? So I just get whatever's in the pile. Someone's charging me, so it's like, yeah, I'll waste the Daily Wire's money sitting here for 3 seconds. That's great, fine with me. But yeah, it is based on the demand for YouTube and how much it's doing and how much traffic it gets. It is shocking me it's not much worse at this point. Google could make it so much worse and lose so few people. Because there really is not, again, there's nothing else. The only competition that's really cropped up is TikTok, which pays people nothing, literally nothing. Maybe you get some money from the, a little bit. Yeah, you get, maybe if you've been a good boy or girl or non-binary person, you will get a couple dollars from the bucket of the TikTok Creators Fund.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could be a lot worse, and a lot of the complaints strike me as very silly.
Oh, but Corbin, haven't you heard? Elon Musk is making it rain for creators.
Yeah. Finally, I can go watch white nationalist videos. That's what I've always wanted.
Well, white nationalists and Mr. Beast.
Even though all that is on YouTube already.
Yeah.
I don't need to go to a different platform to watch the most like racist shit I've ever seen in my life. It's right there.
Yeah.
And it's got Coca-Cola ads playing before it.
So yeah, I mean, again, I'm going to generally like sort of take YouTube's side. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to sort of side with YouTube here. At the same time, look, I also do see a little bit of the other side of it. People are choosing ad blockers and whatever methods because the ad experience is unpleasant, and sometimes it would be kind of nice to see.
Yeah, they just don't like ads. That's the end of it. And
unfortunately, they also don't want to pay to disable the ads.
Right.
And hey, look, coming from the place where I'm at, I get that.
Yeah, I do still think that Google could go a long way to eliminating this discussion entirely if there was a YouTube Premium minus music.
Yes.
And I understand why there's not, because I'm sure like in the calculus of how much it costs for one user to have that, like it's a lot cheaper to put the music in it than to like make up the difference for like a rough YouTube view. Like there's a lot of complicated math that goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that like the people you're watching still get paid approximately as much as if they sat through an ad. And that's especially clear now in like the price delta between like ad-free Netflix and ad-supported Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Is the ads make so much money for the company. So I understand why there's not. I would like to see, even if it was like $2, if they can make $2 happen, that'd be pretty cool.
I agree, Hoopy. I the minus music plan, almost certainly can't exist.
Yeah, it would be very difficult. Or maybe if it was, I don't know, they just did something else, like just premium, and like Google throws something else in there that's mildly useful. And that's
I think in all sincerity, it's that it would, for the people who watch, or for the people who listen to music, like the reason they can do a music plan is because that has been negotiated out pretty well. So it's pretty obvious how much Google needs to charge for music plan. When you look to the other side of it, I think it's the people who pay for the premium plan to include everything past music. I think most of those people probably don't use the music side of it very often, and effectively that's subsidizing how much it costs to cover the other stuff. Like it's a usage graph where I can picture it in my head, but describing it would do no good. So point is, I think it just actually costs more for those users. And so when
Google's
in the rare
absolutely
instances they do listen to music, that is making up a very small portion of what they cost, so to speak. So yeah,
like the math, I can't imagine how complicated the math would be on this, because like there's definitely like I'm sure a ton of people paying for this that like Google's effectively subsidizing with the other users.
Yeah.
And I know that's how like technically all these subscriptions work, because like I can also be paying for Netflix and like never open the app in the course of a single month. So, you know, that's server money that Netflix got to keep or whatever. So yeah, I don't envy the like people trying to crunch these numbers, but I would still like to see something.
You probably should envy them, because most of them are making a lot more money than any of us.
That's true. Yeah.
Even if their companies are losing money, they somehow are making a lot more money than any of us. But yeah, so I think that's. Oh, let's see, Hoopy. I think YouTube Music only really exists legally as a side effect of Google's agreements, and the distinction from regular YouTube is just a branding exercise. Yeah, I mean, certainly to some extent, I think YouTube Music also needed to exist a little bit, just because at a certain stage, the YouTube app itself was getting overcomplicated, and they really needed YouTube Music to exist for the car and TV scenarios, and
also to fill the Google Play Music hole in our hearts. Yeah. Rest in peace to a real one.
Yep. And we are, according to my clock, we are about 18 months away from a new app coming to replace YouTube Music.
Podcast app, guys, get ready.
Yep.
I can't wait to put my podcast on a different Google thing.
Yes.
I just got around this month to removing the Google Play Music, or not Google. I'm sorry, the YouTube, the Google Podcast button on the Tech Tales website.
I love that you're confused about this yourself.
I had to think about it. Okay, all right, I'm going now. I've had enough of this.
Take it easy, and we'll catch you somewhere in the near future.
Yes, farewell.
All right. Let's see. I need to, because I did not fully prep on that transition moment. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that was the YouTube topic. All right. So Austin suggested 2 more things. Well, actually I think there was 3, but I closed one of them. I'm just going to point this out right now. I did not have time to read this. 2, I am probably the last person who should be discussing whatever AnandTech covered about ARM's next CPU core designs. I'll try to read this later and get up to date, but yeah, I just didn't have time. And let's be honest, this was probably going to be pretty dense and require a discussion of its own. So yeah, I'll try to look later. The other one, Apple and its TV Plus service. Oh, by the way, before I actually get into this, really quick, Carson did ask about doing a live unboxing of the Chipolo. Let's see. Wait, yeah, okay, that is the right view. So I do have the Chipolo card point and 1 point here. So yeah, I will do a quickie unboxing. Believe me, I mean, these are tiny boxes. There's probably very, very little to unbox. Though I might show you the reviewer kit, because the reviewer kit is interesting. Very interesting. Hoobie, I completely agree. Every time I say this name, Chipolo, I just keep thinking, ooh, burrito bowl. I want. Like, seriously, there's no way not to think of Chipotle. And again, burrito bowl. I should record myself just in full epic voice guy. Burrito bowl. Okay, anyway. So I will do that live unboxing after this topic. And chances are, well, I'll do that, and I guess for the meme of it, I will also insert a battery into my PS4 controller. Since I already have the top-down view, why not? Anyway, so getting back to our quick view here, you type in chip into Google search and it takes you to Chipotle. I mean, that checks out. Also, you should go there and check out. But no. Anyway, so Apple is apparently hiring an Android engineer to build a TV Plus app for Android phones. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I actually did forget to check this. I've been meaning to check this for hours and I keep forgetting. Is there an app for Android? Yes, there is. Okay. So, wow, wait a second. What? There's two apps. Which one's which? Oh, what? Oh, one's for TV, one's for some devices. Wait, what? Is one of these dead? Okay, so all right, what I was looking for. Not available for any devices. Apple TV app is for the with this app you can yeah, these are the same descriptions even. So, okay, if you go to the Play Store, there are two different entries. One for Sony TVs and one's for Google TV. No, I have a Sony TV. And this one says not for any devices. Now, maybe it's a specific, like, generation of Sony TV, but yeah. This app is not for any of your devices. Hit install. No eligible devices listed. And as you can very clearly see, I can't zoom into it. What about this one? So here's the other one. This app is available for some of your devices. Hit install, and it allows for the Shield, but that's it. That's kind of surprising. Oh, and zooming into the page doesn't work either. Wonderful. Okay, so anyway, that's interesting. And maybe my Sony TV is too old or something by whatever method. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, this app does exist. So they have an app for Apple TV. But apparently they're going to add one for the TV Plus service, which and I I guess based on this, since the only eligible device was the Shield, so they're gonna make an app for phones. Basically, that's what's going to happen. So they already covered Android TV, at least one Android TV device. But yeah, they didn't have it for phones. It kind of makes sense. And I'm going to say this, look, at this point, this is that classic, the numbers have to go up situation. Apple TV, no matter what, had to, if it wants to get new subscribers, they've got to start expanding out to a broader set of users, a broader set of devices. It really only makes sense. They had to eventually give in and start actually courting Android users, like truly courting them, not just the bare minimum of putting it on a TV platform, which is the right place for it. So, that made sense, but they had to actually start courting phone users too. And I get that's reasonable. It's crazy that they didn't have it sooner. Let's see. Okay, Carson, you're right. They do have at least we at one point said that they, well, AP, I shouldn't say we. Also, for reasons I'm not going to get into, I would be a little skeptical of this article. But yeah, so apparently this does target Sony TVs. That's interesting. It will come first to Sony's X900H series TVs. I have no idea where mine falls in that Sony's weird naming conventions. But it's interesting. Oh, wait. Sony says that the app will come to some 2018 models as well as most 2019 and 2020 models by the end of the year. Okay, that's the problem because mine is 2015, 2016, something like that. Actually, does it maybe say Sony Bravia 4K 2015? That's what I have. So that makes sense. That's why I am not getting this app. So good to know. David, when did AP change the logo? It was about a week or two ago. But yes, Android Police now has a new logo. For those that have not seen it, there it is. There was an announcement post about this, which go read the comments if you're so inclined. They're kind of amusing. I'm not going to show them here because it could be considered a hate crime. And yeah, so moving on from that, though I will say the new logo, they did try to keep elements of the old logo, and you can see that, like, they basically just split apart the A and P, so that kind of works. But yeah, otherwise it is what it is. Oopie. Accurate. Honestly, I don't hate this logo, but I don't like it either. It's fine. I think the old one was a little bit better, but I don't care that much. I don't think it was that big enough of a change to make a difference. Oh, okay. I will just close that window. Okay. Awesome. In all likelihood, yeah, that could explain it. I wouldn't be surprised. So, let's see. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Actually, I don't know that there's a whole lot more to say on this, but Apple hiring an Android engineer to work on the TV Plus app for phones. Frankly, it actually just checks out. This is exactly the right thing to do if you want to see your numbers go up. David, yes, unboxing time is coming very, very shortly. But yeah, fundamentally, if you just want to see your numbers go up, this is how you do it. There's not really a good argument for why they shouldn't have already put out an app to target phones. So, yeah. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There is no other than that. It's a streaming service. Make it available to all of the places that have a lot of users. I don't think Apple was serving itself at all by trying to limit users to their paid service. Okay, so let's see. Real quick, I'm just moving a couple windows around so they're out of my way. All right, unboxing time is here. Okay, so you'll have to tell me if this looks wonky or is out of focus. I don't think it's out of focus, but if it is, wait, why is that? Okay, so ignore the focus reticle. I know that in the past somehow I got this to do, real quick, I am gonna do this though. I know in the past I've gotten this view to show a clean output. I don't remember what I did to get rid of it, but yeah, ignore this little target focus reticle. It's actually, can I move that a little more to the corner? No, I cannot. Okay. It is what it is. It's fine. So let's see. The keyboard can be out of the way. Trackpad is not visible. So yeah, tell me if it's... And that, friends, is why I have cases on all my phones. You didn't see that, but it happened. All right, so Chipolo'd. There's center point, kind of. Okay, so for size comparison's sake, let's we'll pop out a Pixel 8. So there you go. That is roughly the size that the two different products come in, or at least in their packaging. So they're pretty thin boxes. Not a lot to say about that. Like, granted, the phone's in a case, but I would say each box is about the thickness of the phone. So, you know, you can see they're pretty easy to... Seriously, screen, stop turning on. But yeah, they're not going heavy with the packaging, nor should they. Let's see, can I just peel this off? Cool. Okay, and both sides have, your typical round piece of tape. I don't know why I'm peeling it off instead of cutting it, but I am. This is one of my weird OCD things. I'm not particularly OCD, but for some reason I like peeling tape away instead of cutting it. So, screw it. We're going to just cut it on this side. Okay. And pushing through we go. Hi, let's get started. Step 1, press the button on the Chipolo'd and place it next to your phone. Step 2, wait for the pop-up to appear and follow the instructions on the screen. And then on this side we have ASMR Cody. And then on this side, let's see, it has the link or the address for chipolo'd.net/instructions and points out that it's available in a bunch of languages. Good for them. And also a bunch of their social accounts. So the part that we pulled out of the top... Wait, really? Is that how... Okay. So this part slides out, and we have our 50% off when you renew or recycle. So that is a scannable QR code with a serial number. I guess that probably shouldn't have been visible. And hidden inside of the back of this, by the way, this is just thin foam. Hidden in the back of this is the, let's see, is that the only one? Yeah, it is. The user manual that is literally a single fold. So that's a choice. The user manual has the same steps, but it adds a step 3, which is after setup, you can locate your Chipolo in the Find My Device app. Otherwise, mentions battery. This is a 2-year non-replaceable battery. Lasts at least 2 years. Renewal options available at Chipolo.net. Renew. And the battery type is a CP124653. Otherwise, the rest of this is handling warranty, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. There's that. And then we come to the card, which is not flexible. Like, I'm not gonna snap this for obvious reasons. It feels pretty rigid, but not rigid enough that it's great. Like, this has that feel of like a credit card, but it's a little bit less flexible. Let's see. I don't know how visible this is. Okay. Sorry. I'm zooming in on my, oh, you know what? Actually, hold on. I need to be able to get a better view of this. So switching into regular, not studio mode. Yeah, okay, this isn't super in focus after all, is it? Where am I? Oh, that's right, I'm up here. Okay, so you can, there we go. So that's, I'm kind of cheating with my zoom in. Let's see, can I focus a little better? It's too hard to see in this window. Okay, anyway, so you can see that there is a, actually, that did work really well though. Okay, so you can see that the Chipolo name is just etched out. So you've got a matte surface here with a bit of a shiny spot for the logo. On the bottom corner, I'm not sure what this is for, but there's a tiny little divot. I'm guessing, I don't see anything about being able to poke through that. I would normally think that maybe like a keychain could go through this, but it doesn't. Oh, that's the button. Okay, that's the button they were referring to in step 1. So okay, that answers that. Cool. Okay, well, that clearly answers that. So okay, I mean that's pretty much all there is to say about this. Hold on one sec. Let me see. I think I have something resembling a credit card behind me that I can use for comparison. I do not. Never mind. I know where everything is because I cleaned it all out recently. It's all sitting in another room. So suffice to say, this is, let's switch back to that view. So this is a little thicker than a credit card. I want to say it's about probably 1.5 times the thickness of a credit card. So it'll still fit into like a credit card slot pretty easily, but you know, that's about it. Man, that view, I'm not happy about. I need this focused better. Oh wait, that popped me into low quality. That's why that looks so bad. Okay, so now that I'm in HD quality, I can see it much better. Awesome. So yeah, anyway, this is just slightly thicker than a credit card, but it'll fit into, I'm sure, any wallet without a problem. That should be easy enough. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to really quick so that I can, because I'm totally 100% going to be shooting these things for review later. I'm going to slide all of this stuff back into its original packaging, except for the card itself, because I am going to demonstrate something in a bit with that, but I want all those things together. Okay, actually, maybe I'll come back to, well, no, I'll just do this one now. Okay, we will now check out the point. This is the like key fob style one. Come on. Okay. Appears to be about the same situation. Yep, same packaging. And here we go with the tag. This one is missing the renewal scan thing. That's interesting. I don't know if both of these are renewables. Okay, or was this... Actually, wait, was this the one that allows you to replace the battery? It is. Okay. So, because honestly, I've had trouble remembering Chipolo. All right, so let's see. This one, they note in the battery that it is replaceable with a CR2032 battery. That's basically one of those standard watch batteries that everybody has in watches, garage door openers, whatever. And let's see. Not a whole lot else is interesting. They do give battery replacement instructions. That's about it. Okay, and this one, let's pop into our... Oops. No, stop. Come on. All right, fine. Well, wait, what? There we go. Why are you popping out of that view? Okay, anyway. There we go. So that is the logo on the point. I assume, I'm not going to press it at this moment, but I assume the button is probably right here, because that is the divot spot. But yeah, so this is the whole thing. Obviously, you can see it fits pretty small in my hand. You know, smaller than palm sized. For comparison's sake, let's see, what do I have that is a pretty universally familiar shape? Well, that's actually on the small side for what that is. Okay, this is kind of dumb, but it works. Here's one of those little micro SD card readers. So for size comparison, this is a little bit bigger, not by a whole lot, but you know. So yeah, you know, there's your size. Very notably, Chipolo's only selling in white, which I don't understand why these companies aren't selling these in lots of colors. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why not sell in 10 different colors: blue, red, green, black, white. I don't know. Maybe sell with like other images on them, something like that, personalized even. Like, imagine getting these printed. I don't know. Anyway, AirTag is only white. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't get it. Why not sell these things personalized? I mean, you can obviously like get stickers to put on them, but still. As far as thickness, let's see, just for comparison's sake. So yeah, you can kind of see it's probably, oops, kind of tricky to do this. So it is basically twice the thickness of the card. So what else? Actually, also using that that SD or micro SD reader, it's basically the thickest. It's about as thick as the thickest part of this reader. And I know that not everybody has one of these, but I feel like this is one of those random things that if you've ever had a SanDisk micro SD card for any reason, you've probably gotten one of these as part of a thing. Do these have a speaker? So yes, both of them have speakers. Actually, I'll just press the buttons again. So this is what the card sounds like. I'm assuming you probably could hear that. And then the tag, or the point, same. Sounds the same to me, at least. Yeah. Okay. So, and yeah, the button is okay. The button isn't under that divot up here. It's dead center. Not that it matters that much. Whereas with the card, let's get that good reflection spot on the logo again. Okay. Now you can see it. Anyway, so there's the logo. The button is down here on this corner. So, let's see. Needs an Oreo version. Austin, yes. Yes. Make this as an Oreo. It already looks, I mean, this looks kind of like an Oreo or a, oh, what is that dessert that comes in? They're basically kind of like cooked marshmallows. I cannot think of their name. Anyway, one of the Android versions was even named after it. Oh, that's gonna bug me now. Oh yeah, macaroons. Anyway, so maybe that was just what everyone thought it was gonna be named, then it ended up being marshmallow. All right. Anyway. Let's see. So, but yes, an Oreo version of this would be so cool. Just because it's dumb. But it would be fun. Like, we need fun stuff. Let's see. So, it doesn't even have a built-in hook. Gotta buy a separate accessory. Yeah, I mean, yes, but I'm going to counter that a little bit by arguing that I don't think anyone's really... Can I get a little more precise on that focus? Man, it is so hard to see that in this little window. Also, it's getting terrible light, so that's not helping. But it's about as in focus as it needs to be. Okay, so anyway, yeah, it's the thing is, I'm kind of okay with the idea that it doesn't have a bunch of accessories, but at the same time, like, look, this thing, this comes with this little threaded loop thing, with a little keyring thing. This is not hard. Like, it's not hard to include this stuff. If somebody goes and buys this out of a store. Carson, you're talking about the AirTag? Okay, wait, I should probably read through these comments. Diablo saying, wow, no hook. Yeah, there's no hook in the box. Guess everyone has keychains already. Yeah. Okay, let me pop out of this view and go back to the full view. You were talking about the AirTag. Which comment? Oh, do these have a speaker? Wait, AirTags I know do. And it doesn't even have built-in hook. Gotta buy a separate accessory. Okay, yeah. So I'm assuming that's what you were referring to. Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry, but it costs so little to include just a thing like this that you could have looped through. Like, it's not a big deal. And if you're buying this at an airport, why would you not want to have like if you're like look, if you're in an airport, if you want to go through and you're like, oh, just in case I want to put something like this on my luggage. Now, first off, admittedly, you should be putting it in your luggage, like in a pocket. But if you wanted it hanging from something, or you want it attached to something inside of your luggage, anything like that, why not include a loop like this? Like, there is so little waste that's going to entail that I think most of the world would be okay with that. It's not like you're including a whole wall charger or something, the offensive things that absolutely destroyed the world. You're just including a little vinyl or cotton, whatever, threaded loop. It's fine. That would make to me a lot more sense, or would make sense. You should have something like that. There's a part of me that almost wants to pop this open, but I will do that for the review. I'm not going to do that right now, just in the offhand chance that, like, if it's like fragile or something like that, I don't want to risk breaking this thing when I have to do a review on it. Not that I think that's going to happen, but just playing it safe. Purse or backpack too. Yeah. If you're going to put this in anywhere, you definitely should just have, you should have or you're probably going to put it inside of things rather than hanging it from things. But if you do want to hang it from something, it'd be nice to have the loop there to do that with. So let's see. Stretch to try to get the whole thing for the box. Okay, really quick. So they basically sent, I know I'm kind of doing this out of order, but they basically sent a reviewer kit of sorts. I don't know if this is something that will be available in other capacities. I'm not sure anybody would want them available in other capacities, but they sent this with the this is the package that they sent. So let's see, top, bottom. I mean, this looks kind of like something you almost expect from a Google product, honestly. Anyway, it would slide open. I have this stuff kind of out of place already, but it opened up with this card on front. I think it was this card. It says your samples of the new point finders are finally here to try out, and we can't wait to hear what you think. As one of the first brands to integrate our finders with Google's Find My Device network, we're thrilled to offer the Android community a way to easily keep track of your belongings. Plus, at Chipolo, we take pride in designing and manufacturing all of our products locally in Europe. Which, there's something funny about saying locally in Europe when when most of the people buying these, don't get me wrong, I'm sure plenty of people in Europe will be buying them, but it is also sort of funny to me to be reading locally talked about in that context. Anyway, after the card was taken out, it was the two boxes right next to each other. And then this part lift away, and inside is this. We'll move the box because there was nothing else. Inside was this extra sleeve, and inside of the sleeve is a book. This is real. It is a Chipolo book. So literally it has down here the Chipolo name. Other than that, it's just the dots. You open it up, and this is, by the way, this is not thin. Like, this is actually a fairly chunky book. And you'll notice it even has a ribbon bookmark. So you open this up. This is, I'll tell you, this is what sometimes you get with like unusual, unexpected reviewer guides and stuff like that. So first few pages are blank, but in color. And then you get into these, let's see, I should probably, wait, can I, this is exposed a little wrong. Okay. I don't know, that's maybe a little too dark, maybe not, I don't know, it's probably works differently on different pages. Anyway, this has weird different things kind of explaining, I guess, like the history of the company. Saturday night, 6 hungry friends were meeting for a pizza and a few drinks, but had to wait for their 7th one. That one that never found his keys. That's how it all started. We created Chipolo to help our friend find his keys fast and get us pizza faster. Turns out there's a lot of, quote, losers out there. 10 years later, we're still helping millions of friends find their things the Chipolo way. And we're also never late for pizza. The next page is like small quotes from people who I guess have purchased Chipolo. So they have stuff like keeping track of all the things while traveling the world with family of 7. That is somebody going by the name of Under the Sycamore. Chipolo saved me from a panic attack. Tom B. The best invention ever. Incredible tool to save you from doom. I like that. Doom apparently is a avoidable thing if you can just use a tracker. Lifesaver for my wife. Who that is by Jacko85. Even my dog has a Chipolo. Thank you, Christoph. Anyway, you get the idea. Then we have this page, which is the different years for different events that Chipolo had. So like launch of the Chipolo card in 2017. Back here was launch Chipolo on Kickstarter 2013. And looks to be like there's about one event per year. Oh, actually, that's exactly it. There's one event per year. Let's see. A page for Google I/O. We can't believe it's been 10 years already. In this notebook, you'll find our greatest achievements, proudest moments, a few praises, and our best stories. Inside, you'll find us, the people that make Chipolo. We hope you'll use this notebook as an analog version of Chipolo to keep track of your greatest ideas and other things you can't attach Chipolo to. Anyway, so then you think all blank pages after this, right? Nope. Hold on. We're almost there. Boom. We're good crazy. Anyway, then there are several more pages that are just more stuff. And this is like kind of quirkier things. Like this is how many potatoes does it take to power Chipolo? This is a page about We Heart Cookies. Actually, how many potatoes? CTO remembered a trick with the potato batteries from kindergarten and wanted to test an interesting idea. Okay, so apparently they calculated how much energy a Chipolo takes, and it is 5 potatoes. Okay, good knowledge. Let's see. Airports plus the Chipolo team equal the unexpected. I've kind of glanced through some of these, but I haven't read any of these before. The one where CEO makes a big mistake. Let's do sumo. Yeah, so a few more pages of this stuff. And then you get to a bunch more blank pages. And finally it reaches the end, which has just a couple more pages of quirkiness, plus an actual maze. Yes, they have an actual maze. And that's it. But then you get to, and I saw this before, you get to the last page of it, and they actually have a spot, presumably, which is funny because it doesn't. Wait, will this fit in any? Yeah, this is supposedly, it says insert Chipolo here. There is no way to do that. Oh wait, can I get this section? Oh, maybe I can. Okay, can I get this in there? Okay, so I'm assuming the card is supposed to go in here, and okay, it can. Barely. It can barely go in there. But, yeah, so you can not lose your book. Though, that being said, it creates a pretty, well, I don't know how much it shows up, but there's a very noticeable gap here where the card is stuck in. Okay. Austin, Idaho, or Redskin? I'm going to assume that we're talking Idaho. Good old Russets. But I could be wrong. Anyway, so I'm going to argue that their card pocket is a little bit of a miss. It needs to have a deeper indentation. I don't think this is really going to be visible here. But yeah, it's not deep enough to fit this card. But I like the idea. It's cute. That being said, why'd they send a book? Weird and unusual reviewer stuff like this. And I don't know, maybe this is something they actually send with like certain packets. I have no idea. But it's odd to me because look, it's not like I get a ton of this stuff. I do get the occasional like reviewer set. Very, very occasional. It's rare. But I have gotten a few. And honestly, I've thrown away most of it. Or stuffed it in a closet. I don't like doing that. I wish I could keep more of it. Or make good use out of more of it. But most of the things that I've received for review that are kind of like reviewer gifts or whatever. Does that fit any of these holes? No. They're all a little too small for that. Anyway. Yeah, most of it is stuff that is never useful. Or it's not good enough to be useful. This book is moderately nice. I kind of wish it didn't have those pages in it. Also, there's something odd about it. Has the Google I/O logo on various things. I'm really curious about that. Like, why is the Google I/O logo on stuff? Anyway, so I mean, they did a good job. It's a nice enough book. I kind of wish it was more useful, I guess. But yeah, I did think it was interesting that they at least had a spot for the card. That's kind of cool. But other than that, unfortunately, sorry to say, but the book is going to go back into the packaging and probably never really come back out again. No offense to Polo, like it's cool and all, but it's not the most useful to me. And again, like here was the, I suppose I need to get these back in place, but yeah, so anyway, that was the whole Chipolo unboxing. Somehow I managed to turn probably the least exciting unboxing in tech into, I don't know, how long was that? I'm sure it was too long. Let's, just because I'm gonna because I'm not kidding about this at all. I have to come up with pictures because I'm actually going to be doing 2 separate reviews. I'm going to be doing one review for the card, one review for the point. So I'm absolutely going to be showing pictures of everything I can come up with because I need to come up with a certain minimum number of pictures. And so I will be showing everything, including their packaging, because let's be honest, there's only so many pictures you can take of these objects. Let's see. Is that card underneath? Yeah, it was. Okay. It can stay down there. That doesn't matter. Let's see. So, am I getting the Applebee tracker or Pebblebee tracker? Nope. At least not presently. There was briefly, well, there have actually been a couple of discussions about this, as crazy as that'll sound. And I almost got lined up for the Pebblebee tracker a year ago. This is real. When I first, wow, that light looks a little wild right there. When I first was lined up to review this, it was a year ago. Almost a full year ago. It was in July. And obviously, at the time we thought these trackers were going to be shipping within the next few weeks. Haha, were we ever surprised? Anyway, so I almost ended up reviewing both of them back then because this will sound crazy, but we were having trouble finding somebody to review the Pebblebee tracker. And many things have changed in that time. Pebblebee got lights. Oh, interesting. Yeah, these definitely do not. Anyway, so yeah, I in the conversation that I just recently had, it was decided that this will be broken out into 2 reviews, which again seems a little wild, but yeah, it's going to happen. And Pebblebee is probably going to be going to somebody else. I suppose it's still possible that I'll end up getting it, but I'm going to assume for right now that I'm going to do Chipolo'd. Somebody else will handle Pebblebee. It's not, to my knowledge, it's not a sure thing yet, but that seems to be the case. Let's see. Were there any other questions about these? I know I just boxed them up, but if I need to pull them back out, that's fine too. But if there's any questions, let me know. And let's see. They don't weigh much. That's kind of a given. They're not heavy. I'd say the card weighs about, I don't know, maybe as much as the Apple, the titanium credit card that Apple came out with. It's about that weight, maybe a little lighter. It's on the heavier side for a credit card, but not crazy heavy. And it's not sharp, so unlike the titanium card, you can't, just wing it at somebody and cause actual harm. And the tracker, or the point, I keep calling it the tracker, and the Chipolo'd point, I don't know, weighs, I'll have to compare this with an actual quarter, but I feel like it weighs just barely more than a quarter. I don't know, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't know, maybe it was about as much as a quarter. So yeah, pretty lightweight stuff. Not that anyone would expect otherwise. And I haven't held an AirTag in ages, so I really don't even remember how much those weigh, but I assume it's probably similar. Diablo. So apparently the app shows how close and how far you are from the Bluetooth strength. I hope in your review we can see the accuracy. I will make a point. In fact, I will very specifically make a point of testing that because I'm kind of curious myself. It's okay. That copy and pasted. All right. You look forward to the day they save me, or you. Yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely test that. I am also going to test, and I meant to do this earlier, but it's fine. It doesn't need to be done today. But I'm going to take a phone, wipe the phone. That way it is not on my Google account. And I'm going to test how long does it take before the phone notifies me that these are traveling with me and they're not next to their phone. I'm going to test like how good the detection is for various behaviors. I want to know that stuff. Like, I think that's important. Because that is supposedly why this took so long to come out, is to make sure that they're not being used for stalking people. So yeah, that is very much one of the things I'm going to firsthand test. Let's see. One of the reasons why I'm not setting it up right now on stream is because I also want to do like a firsthand, try it, like measuring how long it takes to set up. I want to do all the possible recording I can of this, because, you know, may as well. So yeah, that's, you know, that's my logic on this. Okay. Let's see. You'd really need to test this device out in a bigger city. Yeah. And I'm aware of that. That's something that I do live in kind of a small area, so not the easiest thing to do. And I'm not going to be going to Portland before at least the first review is done. However, I do think that I'm going to be poking my head. I will make a point of trying this out in a couple of areas around where I am. Only Cody in the network would be sad. I probably am the only one in the network, but yeah, I'm good. That's the thing. Like, I'm gonna say this just plain as can be. Like, there are going to be people who are reviewing this. Nobody reads just one review. There are going to be people who are reviewing these things, trying them out in downtown LA, in New York City, in wherever else. Look, I'm the guy who's going to be trying this out in Roseburg, Oregon. In also places smaller than Roseburg. I'm absolutely one of the ideas. I don't know that I'm going to do this, but I've been kicking around the idea that I could put this in. I could hide one of these in kind of a weird spot and just see how long it takes for somebody to pass by and register that a device is there. It's a weird idea, but it's something that honestly no one's going to try that out in other places, right? I mean, extreme geocaching. I mean, kind of like that. This is reverse geocaching though. Did I get the notification? No, but I think part of that is because all my phone screens were off when I hit the button, and it seems like it has a timeout because I heard a ending beep sound. I assume that there's a timeout where it stops trying to connect. I could be wrong on that. I don't know, but it makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to document all that. I don't know. I might record a video of the setup. I doubt it. Or even if I do, I don't think it's going to be that interesting. But I am very curious what the setup time is going to be. Honestly, because this obviously doesn't seem like it should be that important. But here's my thinking. If the setup time is a lot, it's going to suck for airports. Because in my mind, and I know that this might sound crazy, but I think if they sell these in airports, there are going to be so many people who are like, oh, I need to get one of these right now. You're going to walk in, buy one of those little packs off of a hanger, and you're going to promptly just walk right out with it. You just want to shred that box open, pull the tracker out, hit the button, pair it with your phone, and go. Like, you don't want to mess around with it. You don't want a big setup process. You want this to be as fast as can be, because you're probably walking in an airport. You might not even have a table to set stuff down. You want this to be quick. To me, that is genuinely critical. And look, it's not really going to be a lot of this review, honestly, is not even going to really be a review on Chipolo, or, you know, the Pebblebee review. I don't think it's going to be much of a review of Pebblebee. It is more a review of Google's network, which is not how that's not how I have to write it, but in a way that's what it really is. So yeah, honestly, I think that's what we're really reviewing here, is how well Google's network is going to behave and how easy is it to set up and all of that. That's the experience people are going to be questioning and looking at. So that's a big part of what I'm going to be testing. And, you know, it kind of sucks for Chipolo, but that's also what their product is hinging on, is how good is this going to behave in Google's network. Let's see. So no one can see this right now, but I'm also just casually fiddling with the PS4 controller, because in a little bit I'm going to stick the battery into this. And it occurred to me that while I'm sitting here, I should probably remove the screws that I put into its that I put back into it. Anyway, yeah, so there's a lot that I want to test with this thing. I'm not sure all of them are really going to be particularly interesting tests, and for a lot of it, I may end up just not even putting that part in the review. By the way, on that note, the review is expected to be really or not really short, but it is our Android Police's so-called short format for reviews, which let's just say it's simplified. It's not my favorite format for reviews, because it's more of a pro-con list than it is an actual review. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, let's see. Getting the last screw out of here. I should probably just do this so that I don't have this thing hanging out and like it has been. Okay, and actually, let's do. There we go. That should just about cover that. Okay, so I'm just gonna get this done because I've been putting it off for a couple of hours, and I just want it. I want to be able to close up this controller. So, yeah, Carson, you asked for it. You're getting it. So this is the inside of a PS4 controller. Battery is supposed to go here. I've already taken out the old one. There's a ribbon cable connecting the main board to the light that goes onto the back of the controller. Otherwise, you know, vibrating motors, triggers are here. You get the idea. Like, there's not a lot to it. So here's a battery. Pop this out. I bought a battery that has two different leads on it. This is the small lead for the newer PS4 controllers that came with the PlayStation 4 Slim and Pro. And then here's the lead that goes to the older controller, which is what I have. So, and then comes the patch where I have not huge hands, but they're big enough hands that it's hard to get some of this stuff plugged in. Is that plugged in enough? There we go. Okay. And Diablo, I tend to agree. Not a massive agreement, but yeah, the controllers notoriously do not have the same problems with like stick drift or some of the other notorious issues. Wait, am I... Oh, wait. Does this need to be... Okay, did I have... I mean, it shouldn't matter, but... Okay, yeah, I think I had the I technically had the controller in upside down. And... wiggle everything back into place. And not pinch that extra lead. Not that I think it matters, but dismantling this controller is a bit of a pain, though. Wasn't there something else I wanted to fix? So that was actually fixed literally just by opening the controller, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. Once I've got everything back in place. Okay, can I... Okay. Just semi-pinching that cable just so it sticks where it needs to go. Okay. Now to get this back in place, which is fiddly. Okay. All right. So then it all snaps back into place. That's perfect. Okay. So it's actually back together. I need to put in the screws, but the thing I needed to fix, it was right here. Oh, and actually it's still... Oh, it is still there. Kind of. So on this side of the grip, where the two parts of the controller meet, like there's a seam, but it's, you know... You can feel that there's a seam, but it's pretty much even. It's like it's equal. On this side, it's not even. So I think part of this is it's maybe just a bit of a deformity in this part of the shell. And it could just be that it's been sitting like this for literally 8 years. I'm not kidding. I think I've had this controller about 8 years, but it's been sitting in a package. But it was... when it was sent, or when I pulled it out of the package, this part was like stuck underneath the back of the controller. So there was this weird big gap right here. It's still there a little bit. I can definitely feel it, but it's not as bad as it was. So just literally dismantling the controller, pulling it apart, fixed that other issue. So it's a small thing. It's definitely not like a problem. It never like caused issues for me, but yeah, so I get to be slightly happier holding this, but it's still, I can still feel it, so you know, it's not perfect, but you know, come on, that is the least of the problems. As long as the controller works, I'm happy. Let's see. And this screwdriver is actually, for being a cheap piece of garbage, it's actually not bad. So yeah. I don't know. Were there any other thoughts or questions about any of it? Also, not that I know exactly when the review is going to come out, but just in case anyone's curious, the Point, which is the like keychain tracker, my due date for that on the review is in a week. I didn't check what day, but it won't matter too much. And then the other one, I don't know, but I think it's the following week. Oops. Oh, I didn't mean to, but I did just hit the button and the light turned on the controller. And I'm pretty sure the PlayStation just started up. So I haven't charged this battery at all. So that's a good sign. It holds a charge. I would say that is that's already a higher standard than what it previously was. I don't know how visible this is under the camera or if you can tell it's on, but you can see the light reflection. Yeah, you can see that the controller is definitely on. So yay, this will probably work. I'll take any wins I can get. Okay, this is junk, goes back in that box. Not that it matters all that much, but this also came with a plastic squeegee thing, which, you know, all of us have probably a couple of these lying around. So yeah, I'll add both of these to my collection of random junk tools. And in the event that this battery sucks, there is a second one that came in the package. This is part of their scam. These are actually 1000 milliamp hour batteries, but they're sold as 2000 milliamp hour batteries, which, come to find out, if you complain, apparently they'll just give you a refund, but most people don't know to test or complain. So, and I'm not going to do that as long as they're good. I'll, even if it's kind of a scam, it's not a scam that's going to matter. So, which listing on Amazon did you buy? Let's see. Why are you thinking about getting one? I'll pull up the listing real quick though. Okay. So, and see, I should have a referral code, but I haven't reapplied yet. So anyway, that's the listing if you want to check it out. And let's see, did I feel like I did? Yeah, there was a coupon also. So it wasn't, wow, actually that price is, that's really weird. It's showing $16. When I bought it, the price was actually $14.39. And then there was also a 10% coupon. So I got it down to basically $13. I mean, who cares? It's $3, but yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, yeah, so that's the battery that I got. If yeah, I don't know, we'll see how well it works. And seeing as the battery is still on, and again, I did not charge this when it came in, that's a good sign. So I will, in all likelihood, probably be fine with this. Again, for anyone who's ever watched me or heard me talk about it, I usually play with a cable in. I usually don't play wireless. So for the most part, even a battery that can hold the most minimal charge should be sufficient. This should be overkill in theory. Which I'll take that. For the amount that it costs to get everything back up and running, that should be fine. But hey, we'll find out. We'll find out this weekend when I stream probably a fair bit of Overwatch, some Fall Guys. We'll start with Fall Guys as usual. And yeah, that'll be the plan. Let's see. So yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else to hit. But I think that about covers it. So yeah, I should be gaming this weekend. As usual, I'll do the quick outro stuff, but as usual, if you'd like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. Of course, huge thanks to those who do support the channel. Carson, Diablo, Austin, David, and Kirby Mermaid. Yeah, so RambleCast next week, as usual, should be the plan. Game streams this weekend with all of this. Oh, Carson, also I saw that comment. To scrape the controller gunk. Come on, man. Tools are fine, but use your hands. Get the gunk out with your hands. It's why you grow nails, man. No, I'm kidding. Use whatever's available. But no, the plastic squeegee in this instance is actually for like wedging the controller apart. Okay, anyway, so I think the rambling is pretty much done. So thank you all for coming by, hanging out, doing all the good, oops, wrong one. Doing all the good things, hanging out and chatting. It's been fun. It turned out to be kind of a long one. Well, no, actually, I guess not, because it's kind of a late start. That's weird. Why did it show that? It just occurred to me that in the chat view, yeah, in the chat view, it still shows that, which is funny because that window's closed. It's gone. For some reason, that's still sitting in the memory. I mean, it's obviously not current, but that's funny. Oh well. Anyway, not important, but just an odd observation. All right. Anyway, so enough of that. Thank you all for coming by, hanging out, and I will catch you all in the next one. Good night, everybody.